heartfelt gratitude to each one of you for being here today, braving the rains, braving the Pune traffic, and being here on time. Unfortunately, we are able to start well on time. Your commitment to exploring and embracing workplace innovations and what propels event like this forward. Before we proceed, allow me to introduce ITP Media, the driving force behind numerous groundbreaking events and initiatives in our industry. Through our efforts, we aim to foster collaboration, spark inspirations, and drive meaningful changes within our community. So, before I move forward, let me show you a small clip of what exactly ITP does and who we are. Tarun, can we have that AV, please? Thank you for making us number one. It couldn't have been possible without your support, for sure. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, the undeniable truth that despite the countless benefits of smart office technology, a significant portion of our workplace remains entrenched in traditional setups. It's staggering to think that in this age of rapid technological development, many offices are still resistant to change. Statistics reveal that more than 70% of our offices are still functional in the traditional way. Smart office technology is much like our exercise routine. It is universally acknowledged as beneficial, Yet we often find ourselves procrastinating when it comes to making the transition. But today marks a pivotal moment in our collective journey. The smart office is not merely an event, it's a catalyst for change, a small initiative from our end to ignite a revolution in office spaces across India. And what better place to have this conversation than Pune, known as the Oxford of the East? The city's vibrant ecosystem with a blend of educational institutes, tech parks, and startup culture makes it an ideal location for smart office solutions. As Pune continues to grow as a major IT and business center, the adoption of smart office technologies underscores its status as a forward thinking metropolis. In this room today, we are privileged to have some of the brightest minds in the industry and subject matter experts. We'll delve deeper into the transformative potential of smart offices. Their insights and expertise will illuminate the path forward, inspiring us to reimagine the way we work and interact with our professional environment today. We have amongst us a keynote speaker, a subject matter expert again, and a very dear friend who is going to enlighten us on the changing nature of workspaces. Join me with a thunderous applause to welcome Ram Prasad, CCP, Managing Director, CCPA Design. Thanks, Ram, for joining us. Let me also thank both of our moderators, Architect Kalpak Bhandari, again a very dear friend and a fitness enthusiast. You can look at him. He's fascinating. And Ashish Vaidya, Associate Executive Director, Project Management Advisory, CBRE India. Both have really toiled hard. Yes, the applause would be louder. Like they really have toiled hard to make this event possible. And the round of applause for all our esteemed panelists for agreeing to be here with us today. A big round of applause for all the panelists, please. I would like to express my sincerest gratitude to our sponsors. Your unwavering support and commitment to innovation have made this summit possible. Through your products and solutions, you are paving the way for the creation of smarter, more efficient office spaces. Thank you for partnering with us in this journey. A big thank you to our presenting partner, Garnet Interiors, Dorma Kawa, our associate partner. They are here to tell us how we can strategically plan security and access in the building environment. A big thank you again to the Dorma team and Somnath for being here. You all can meet them. They have a beautiful booth behind and they have displayed their access solutions there. Wipro Lighting and Seating, our associate partner again, are here to showcase how light design can impact wellness and productivity. And also having the most comfortable seating solutions you may experience at their booth just behind the corner. Halfway and their entire team is here to enlighten us more on the science of ergonomics, detailing in workplaces, and the team led by Sir Das, Gurunath Ji, Ashish, Rahil are here to help you and assist you with whatever information you need related to ergonomics and their solutions. Our category partner, All-Arch and Forgo, are here to showcase the amazingly stunning flooring solutions, which are not only sustainable but rugged and easy to maintain. Team led by Mr. Umesh and Pratyush are here to help you out with any of your queries. Copy Machines, a networking partner. They are serving some amazing coffee. If you haven't tried yet, you can have it whenever you feel like. They are bringing some really fresh coffees. Our wholehearted support. And finally, yes, not to forget Chris, our knowledge partners who have wholeheartedly supported put this entire event together. Thanks, Tanmay, and thanks, Riji, for being here. So without further ado, let's dive into the discussion, exchange ideas, and chart a course towards a brighter, smarter future of workspaces. Together, let's ignite the smart office revolution. Thank you. Enjoy your evening. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Indrajit. To move on to our next session, what Indrajit rightly said, evenings like this and platforms like this are not really possible without the support of the industry. And one such support we received consistently is with Wipro Lighting. And like he mentioned, to just give you a quick glimpse into what the company is about and how they are revolutionizing lighting in workspaces, I would love to give call on stage Mr. Altaj Sheikh, who is the head for marketing at Wipro Lighting, to please come down and give us a quick glimpse into what the company and their portfolio is all about. A huge round of applause for ladies and gentlemen for Mr. Altaj Sheikh.
Thank you so much, Rashmi. Okay. Thank you so much, Rashmi. A warm good evening to all the guests, and thank you, ITP Media, for giving us this opportunity. My name is Altaz, and I head marketing for Wipro Lighting. A quick presentation on how lighting and setting we are working at Wipro and making an impact towards creating the high performing workspaces. As all we know that change is a constant in our world, and that is not a statement but a hard fact. For all of us, the work at workspaces is a significant amount we spend at our offices. Roughly around 45 hours is what we spend at workspaces. This time at office can be highly rewarding or it can be highly frustrating. And that all depends on the quality of workspace. There are numerous factors, parameters, which affect the effectiveness and morale of an employee. And it is very critical as a designer or the facilitator to provide and consider these parameters for creating the high performing workspaces. So what are these parameters? Energy efficiency is given when we talk about lighting in a building. The flexibility of our designing of a workspace, the inclusivity, how we can include the different demographic group while designing the workspace. The technology integration, not only for today, but how I can integrate the technology considering the future need of an office space. And more importantly, the occupant's health and wellness. So when we talk about the high performing workspaces, we all know that lead and well guidelines are very well laid and they provide us the scientifically proven measurable framework to perform to assess the performance of a building. So today we would like to focus on the parameters where we at Wipro are making the larger impact, like sound, material, and how overall we contribute towards improving the indoor environmental quality of our office space. Sorry. So we at Wipro aim to improve the indoor environmental quality that promote wellness at the workspace. We wish to partner with the designers and the building facilitators, create the spaces which are well lit to boost the productivity, the spaces which are quieter to enhance the well-being, and spaces where the right ergonomic seating is provided to provide the maximum comfort to the users. So when we talk about lighting, so our lighting products are well designed to provide the solutions around circadian lighting. The lighting products from Wipro are integrated with the technology to provide the maximum daylight access, to create a visually balanced illumination in the workspace, to provide the maximum glare control to the users,
And we also provide the solution around dark sky. For a smart office or the high performing workspace, we provide the solution with the lowest possible UGR. We provide the solution with highest CRI 90. We provide the solution with flicker free to provide the utmost comfort to the users, to the employees. And we also pioneered the technology called zero leak technology so that there is no light leakage from the luminaires. These are few installation images from our recent projects. So when we consider the smart office, I know the topic is the smart office design, but I would like to highlight one more important point. When we talk about the campuses, we at times ignore the fact that the lighting for the outdoor areas, the landscape areas, has to be more positively impactful towards the environment. As the research says, around 83% of the population lives in the light polluted skies. And that is not only impacting us, but the migratory bird and the environment. So it is very important to take care of the outdoor areas within the IT campuses also, so that we create a positive impact on the environment. So considering this as a concern, we collaborated with a lot of researchers and the industry expert and launched India's first made in India dark sky certified outdoor products, both in post-ops and bollard categories. Many of you would be knowing that DASCA is an international body which assesses the products and solutions and certifies it for this kind of application. This products ensures that there is no light pollution created from these solutions. When we talk about the well standard, it very well says about the noise within the workspaces. And it is proven fact that noise impacts the employees, workforce physically, psychologically, cognitively, and behavioral. So it is very critical to control this parameter in the workspace, because today we don't use a lot of false ceiling. Partitions are reduced in the office space. So to cater this noise created because of the absence of these parameters is very critical. To resolve this problem, we collaborated with the researchers and the industry expert and created the patented technology with deep airspace and multiple layer construction, which ensures that the noise is reduced to the maximum level. All the products, the acoustic solutions from Wipro Lighting and Seating are made up of the recycled materials, so are 100% sustainable solution. All these products are complying to the international standards and are tested for and certified by ARAI. These are few products from Wipro Lighting around the acoustic solutions. We also have multi-purpose media screens which are portable, and the acoustic floor dividers which are flexible to meet your changing need of a workspace. When it comes to technology, we have a wide array of technology products for the lighting management system under the Wipro brand of Internet of Lighting. We have the latest BLE technology as well as the wireless IoT solutions. We have already supplied around 40,000 connected devices across 4 million square feet space pan India. So we have that expertise and the installation base to prove the facts. Our wireless IoT system is very flexible and scalable. We can implement a very basic solution with manual control. Same solution can be upgraded by integrating the daylight and the occupancy sensors and the curtain control in the same system. Same system can be scalable for providing you the energy management reports or the space management reports. This system is flexible enough to allow the integration of third-party environment sensors and give you the parameters of workspace around how the indoor environmental quality parameters are performing within the workspace. If you want to go beyond the lighting management system, the system is capable of providing the beyond lighting solutions like tracking asset tracking mechanism and the heat maps based indoor navigation system. So we at Wipro Seating provide the safe and healthy chairs that enhances the productivity and boost the wellness in the workspace. All our seating products are tested as per the latest BIFMA standards and are designed ergonomically. We provide a wide range of chairs which are trendy and stylish in nature. And all our products comes with the trust and reliability of Wipro brand. We provide the seating for task and executive seating, multi-purpose seating solutions. We provide collaborative seating, lounge seating, and we are the market leader in auditorium seating. Trust and reliability are our strength. We provide innovative, human-centric designs. We are admired by our customers for the quality and reliability. We are very customer-centric brand, and we have the presence pan-India. Thank you so much for listening to the presentation. I would like to invite you to visit our stall. Let's come and discuss the solutions we provide for creating the high performing workspaces. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Alpaj, for running us through that quick and brief presentation into what Wipro is doing in the lighting segment. And now moving on to the star session or the star segment of our evening, we have the keynote speaker. And as Indrajit has already introduced him, and especially in this fraternity, he is someone I think who might be known as the founders of the entire architectural fraternity of the social game in Pune itself. And with this, I would love to quickly just run a brief introduction about him because it's his journey that has really amazed me. And true to the words we speak about finding our passion and direction, he's someone who actually has done that. And I would love to introduce Mr. Ram Prasad Akiseti, who is the co-founder and the managing director of CCBA Designs, a firm that was established in Pune in 1995. And why I say he's a person who has an individual who has achieved his goals through his passion is he discontinued his MBBS at the prestigious Armed Forces Medical College, Pune, midway when he was about to become ready to join the armed forces as a medical officer. And it was at this point, which was the turning point for him, his decision in his life too. And where he realized that he needed to explore more of his creative sensibility and his passion towards the creative side. And this is when he met his guru, the Harvard and MIT postgraduate and master architect, Professor Christopher Benninger. The coming together of these two individuals led to the co-founding of the powerhouse of intellectual architecture, which is CCBA Designs today. Under their leadership, CCBA grew into an highly awarded firm, not just in India, but across the world. And with their works in Shanghai, Bhutan, and Africa, they have done some phenomenal work across different verticals. He has made India House, they have actually made India House into a cultural hub of creative thinking, debate, and sharing avant-garde ideas. With academic backgrounds in medicine, psychology, anthropology, Ramprasad has carved out a space for himself in the world of art and architecture. And we are absolutely honored to have him here present this keynote lecture. So with this, I would love to call him on stage. A huge round of applause for our keynote speaker of the evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, Rashmi, thank you for this wonderful introduction. I think it's beautiful to see a hall full on time. Although this is a bit rainy day, and my mind says that we should be having pakoda and chai. But as much as possible, we'll try to wind up the Bhashan session as soon as possible, and we can interact very soon. So, friends, greetings, good evening. I really like to thank Rashmi and Inderjeet for inviting me over here for this presentation. And summits like this bring all the stakeholders who are involved in office spaces or built environment and to bring the synergies together so that we come out with solutions which are not only addressing the issues of today, but they become futuristic. Friends, let me ask you a very important question when it comes to investments. I'm talking about material investment. What would be the three most important material investments of anyone's life? Any guesses? Anyone over here who could raise a hand and guess? Okay, let me make it easy for you. The three most important investments of anyone's life would be having a very good chair that you sit on, a very good bed that you sleep on, and extremely good footwear that you walk with. Do you all agree with me? Do I hear a yes? Yeah. So why? Because if you don't have a good bed, your body is not rested for 8 hours. And if you don't rest well, then there are issues with your work the next day. Your body also needs to rest so that there is a cellular repair that happens when you're sleeping, which you may not be aware. And you spend 8 hours. Just guess 8 hours is one third of your life. Similarly, when you sit on a chair, you spend about 8 hours. That's again one third of your life. Have you ever thought about it? When we all work, we are sitting for 8 to 9 hours, and that's a long stretch. That's almost like one third of your life or one third of your day, right? Similarly, good footwear, all these things lead to issues later in the life if you don't wear good shoes or don't sit on a good chair, your spine, your posture, all kind of things. Why I'm giving you this particular background is that most of us have not been educated on where do you invest the most. I think most of us don't spend time in investing on a very good bed or a chair or a footwear. We probably spend more time on investing in gadgets and jewelry and fashionable clothes, but these are the things that you invest. Similarly, if I have to draw a kind of a parallel, where do we spend one third of our life? In the office spaces, right? So the office space design is very, very vital to our well-being. And this is where we want to talk about the role of an architect, the role of a project manager, the role of a facility manager, the developer, the person who's investing money. Everybody should come together and ask this singular question. Offices have to be designed that they lend that kind of comfort, they lend that kind of pride in the place of work, and then they lend that kind of knowledge generation that new cultures are formed. So it's very important when we discuss about office spaces. And today specifically, I'm going to, through my presentation, talk about a particular aspect of office spaces, because we are not talking about just office spaces which are greenfield offices that we build and then we kind of walk into them, they're brand new and all that. The world is facing through a lot of crises, especially after the pandemic. I think we have taken a couple of steps back to rethink about what is life, what is it there to offer for us. Pandemic has made us reflective. Pandemic has allowed us to re-question the way we use, whether we need to readapt, whether we need to reappropriate everything in life, including our workspaces. Pandemic has allowed us to recycle materials. It allowed us to come out with solutions which are out of the box, right? So in CCBA, we have done one very good project what was supposed to be a defunct factory, we have converted that into a, I mean, like ultra modern workspace, which is what I will be showing you eventually. Now, in the times that we live in, it's very changing. Every day we come out with new technologies. Every day we hear about like this has changed, that has changed. What does that mean? That we have to be very quick in adapting. We have to be flexible. We need to reinvent before even something else comes, you know. So office spaces have to be in continual swing. They must change from this to that, adapt technology, put new systems in place. All these things should happen, I mean, like at a click of a finger, you know. So design plays a very important role. Design has to move at least two steps ahead of our thinking as of now. So architects must be at least few years ahead of what we are talking of today, because we have to really think about like if we are designing and in building, by the time we build, the technologies have changed, new systems have come, new ways of like, you know, arranging your seating systems, or new lighting systems have come, or IT is revolutionizing everything. So, you know, like architects have to play a very important role and a very critical, intelligent role that they have to play. Now, as stakeholders, we all know that like after a certain time, the buildings kind of dilapidate, they age out. It's just like how a human being has a midlife crisis, right? In us, the midlife crisis is maybe because of hormonal changes, right? But it's also a midlife crisis because it allows us to pause and think about what's there in future for us, and what do I need to change it to adapt to the new future that I'm going into. Similarly, buildings have midlife crisis. They age out. They are dysfunctional. They no longer become the place of pride that they were once. So we need to rethink about, if there is a building which has a midlife crisis, how do we adapt? How do we change? How do we reuse it? How do we reappropriate it? All these are questions which I'm going to demonstrate through a project presentation that we recently did in Pune, very much in Pune, which again was like something which just came out of debating that do we need to tear it down, or do we need to rebuild it? Do we need to kind of look into the finances? So in a way, if pandemic played a havoc, it also allowed us to be better thinkers. Now, could somebody help me with the presentation? Yeah, click onto the next slide, please. Now, I'm showing you some of the projects that CCBA Designs has put in its 30 years of services. And this is one of our pride projects, Suzlon One Earth. At the time it was built, some 14 years back, 2010, it was probably one of the only projects that was Griha 5-star energy rating. Plus, it was a platinum green building, large building complexes. And not only that, next slide, please. This particular project, which Professor Christopher Benninger has designed and thought about, he saw all buildings are glass buildings, they're vertically going up. Why don't we make grass scrapers instead of a skyscraper? So you can see this office is more like a campus, hugging the ground. It's in a celebrous environment, and everything feels very kind of, you know, like connected to the human scale. You could see gardens, you could see like, you know, water pools and green all around. You could connect with nature while you're still working, as against you are like trapped in these glass boxes that you see, which is very, very, I mean, like difficult for us to consume those in the climatic conditions that India belongs to. Next slide, please. So this particular project has won several awards, and it is one of the most important landmark projects of not just in Pune but also for India, because it has allowed a new way of thinking about how an office building would be. This is about 1 million square foot. More than 2,000 people work over here with underground parking and everything. So this was one of the nicest projects that we have done. Then now I show a project which is on a very tight site, which is on Wakdewadi. I don't know if you people know, it's in Pune Mumbai highway, very close to the COEP campus. This is the Bajaj, let's say, corporate towers. And of course, it's a glass box. We were limited in the sense like the client wanted to have a glass box, but we used very good glass from Saint Gobain. And then the front part had to be a retail shop where we could hang the bikes, especially back in those days. KTM bikes were very much in awe at that time. So we used the front. This is the entry from the back side. Next one, please. So if you can see the front part, it's almost like a showroom that you go down and then you see a cylinder of glass. So next slide, please. This is one of our very oldest projects. In fact, this was one of the first projects that put CCBA on to its business, 1997. This is in the backwaters of Kerala in Cochin, called Cochin Refineries Headquarters in Maradu. Way back in those days, we had to import Hunter Douglas louvers from Holland. They were not even manufactured anywhere in the vicinity, and no one even knew about it. We knew that, like, with the climatic conditions that we were dealing with in Kerala, the heat and the humidity and all that. So we thought about having a double skin, a double layer, a layer that protects, but yet it is very transparent. So the next slide, please. So if you can see it, actually, it's very transparent. So we had a beautiful atrium, kind of lending a view into the whole office. The next slide, please. Uh, Currently, we are doing in Gurgaon a project for Airbus and for Boeing. This is a project which belongs to Air India. They again took a defunct factory and they wanted to quickly put something over there as a simulation center. And they could not find land and they could not build a building. So they actually bought a defunct factory and they gave a challenge to us. Now you have to create something, because when it is a factory, you just can't tear everything down because there are setbacks, and then there are columns and slabs and all those things. So we had to come out with a simulation center where the Boeing and the Airbus A350 aircrafts simulations will happen, so that they can train the pilots of both pilots of both the Boeing aircrafts as well as the Airbus aircrafts over here. So we did like a very nice interiors, because there was very limited choice that you could do with Boeing coming with its own kind of parameters. Next slide, please. Next slide. So now I'm coming to my main presentation. So this is keep going on, please. So Forbes Marshall is a factory, is a industry which is in the business of manufacturing pistons, and they manufacture a lot of equipment for pipes and water systems and oil kind of pipelines. It began in 1956 at Kasarwadi with its first manufacturing plant, and you could see it. The factory, which was built back in those days, was like a concrete structure. So the challenge which was given to us by Naushad Forbes and his board members was, we don't want to tear it down completely, but create good architecture out of that. And the other challenge was, on one side, we had the Pune Mumbai highway, and then the back side, we had the train line, which is from Mumbai to Pune and further. So there were constraints that did not allow us to kind of do certain kind of modifications, especially breaking and then getting the same kind of land parcel to rebuild it. So earlier we built with Forbes Marshall a very large factory in Chakan, which, to our great surprise, can you move the slides, please? Keep moving on. So this is the Forbes Marshall factory in Chakan. It's a very large 100-meter backside, which is a very large 100 meters by 100 meters factory setup in Chakan. And apparently, when this factory was built, it won the awards at Indian Institute of Architects award ceremony, and it was also given the 8th place out of the 10 places as one of the top places to work. So again, Krone Marshall, what happened? Technology at its best again, huh? Keep moving, keep moving. Keep moving. This is another factory which we have done. Now, coming to the Kasarwadi campus. So if you see, this is how the campus was. I mean, when it was given to us a few months back, 15 months back. In 1956, next slide. In 1956, this is how it looked like. The original scheme, keep moving on. The original scheme was this one. This was about like 25,000 square feet, and it kept on getting added. If you see, a new bay was added, then please keep going on, please. Then we had a small reception added in the lilac or violet, you can see. And then a whole new bay in the pink was added. Keep going. Then again, a new floor was added on the top. And then you can see like and a whole lot of additions and kind of, half facade growth happened. Then ACP cladding happened. Keep going back. When I say you need to go with my flow. Huh. So if you look at it, this is where it was given to us. This is where it was, another bay was added, and then this is where it was given to us. And then we had to come out with a whole new solution for this. Can you go to the next slide, please? So as I said, it resulted in patchy work. Next slide. So this is how it looked. Next slide, please. This was the result of 75 years of haphazard development with no master planning and no control on. And of course, they were addressing the growth as it was growing. Keep going, please. The spans, the heights, the construction material, everything was like, of different kind of materials and different scales. Next slide, please. We actually like this one. If you see, this is a RCC slab with straw framework and reinforcement. It's amazing that like they could use this and it actually works like a nice stable kind of elastic structure that doesn't collapse, but it actually retains it. So we, at some point, we actually retained this one just to show as a museum piece how construction happened in the past. Next slide, please. So we were given these weak columns that we could not put anything on the top. The structure had questionable structural stability, and the spaces were badly lit. There was hardly any kind of airiness. So this is what it was given to us. Next slide, please. So the facades were inconsistent and lacked an identity. It just did not belong to anything. I mean, like it had no head or tail. It was an animal which was just mashed up and put together. So when this was given to us, and we kind of like understood the issues, and then we wanted to kind of modernize it. We needed to add up to almost 300 new people who are going to work over here. Next slide, please. Thus, the task in front of the architect was to unify the built environment with a commitment to sustainability and functionality. So we adapted a whole new motto, which is called the reviving, adapting, and reusing. So our solutions were, how do we retain the new existing building? How do we reinforce and conserve the skeletal structure? How do we adapt passive sustainable interventions, such as like if we could put like double skin, and then could we put something which is going to be allowing the light but not the heat? Then we also thought about how do we unify this entire complex together with one language, then adopting a whole new way of like working with functional spaces and interiors that are like seamless, and then minimalizing the entire factor that it doesn't bark out. So we wanted to make it a very calm and quiet and very salubrious place to work. So next slide. So the design intervention after structural audit, the parts were kind these parts, some parts were removed because they were not safe for the building. Then we came out with some more interventions. Keep going on. We strengthened the columns, then we introduced new columns, then we kind of cut open certain slabs to bring in the light, then we double glazed the windows so that there is less of noise and less of heat, but you could get the light. Then roof was thermally insulated. Then we introduced what was called thermal radiant cooling in the floors so that the air conditioning cost would minimize, although initial investment may be a little bit higher. So all these kind of things, and then we introduced the lures. Keep going, please. So all this, the violet columns were reinforced, and the orange ones were new columns added at some points because we wanted to strengthen, because we are now putting the second floor on top of that. Next slide, please. So this is how we unified the facade. We removed the ACB panels, we introduced larger windows, and we brought in good light and ventilation. And then we introduced what was called elliptical aluminum louvers to kind of unify the entire project together. Next slide, please. And then finally, we came out with an open plan to reduce the visual barriers so everybody could communicate visually as well as seamlessly in a workspace. Next slide, please. So if you imagine this was the campus which was given to us as a master plan and how we have transformed that to the next slide. So we have transformed that in the first building was the first number one. Then we created a garden, number 9. Then there is an experience center. Number 3 is a cafeteria, which we created. Some more office spaces in number 2. Like this, how we transformed everything. So when this work was carried out, the office was still running. We just could not stop because they were getting so many orders. So it was almost like an open heart surgery, that this facility was like working and still getting repaired at the same time. So the final outcome of this entire exercise for last 15 months that we did was, one, we didn't tear down the building, but we came out in the same space with much, much more capacity. Imagine 25,000 square foot to 80,000 square foot, more workforce, and in lesser time, in 15 months, we could do everything. If it was a whole new building, it would have taken about 3 years with new permissions and everything. So in the next slide, please. So the building was transformed into this manner. Next slide. So this is how it looks inside now. So they have more light coming from everywhere. So there is less consumption of electricity, discussion rooms. Then we created a second floor, and then there is a skylight from the top. If you can see, this is how it was, what was given to us in the next slide, and it became like this. Next slide, please. This is how it was, and then it was retrofitted like this with radiant cooling on the floor, and then it became like this. So we just used white as a color. We wanted to be very minimalistic, no a dash of this color or that color. And this radiant cooling really reduces the cost of running the air conditioning because it doesn't have to work at the highest capacity. So this is how it looks now. So a lot of light was brought in, a whole new way to work. So the people started enjoying working over here. And then they were telling us like how it was and how it is now. It brings in a lot of vibrancy, a new way of looking things. And they were very happy because in the end, keep going. So this is how it is. These are the lures which kind of unify the entire campus. So what I'm trying to say is that it is the responsibility of architects and the other stakeholders in the building that we are given the responsibility to create spaces that lend pride in the people who work there as well as the people who visit them over there. Office spaces are very, very important, and because they are the economic generators of this country. So when we design them, we have to be absolutely responsible and absolutely we have to be ahead of times. So with this small note, I like to take a break and listen to my other friends who are going to be in two panels and then discuss more about the issue. And thank you very much, Indrajit, as well as Rashmi, and to all the audience for listening to me patiently. Thank you very much.
That was one of the most phenomenal keynotes that I've ever heard. You started off with such an informal note and enlightening us through an actual walkthrough of a project which that stands by your buildings and your principles and what you actually wish to see in spaces. Thank you so much for lending us that, Ram. We'd love to just give a small token of appreciation for that from our end, and I would love to call on stage Mr. Tanmay Khare, who is the head of administration at Pidilite Industries. Along with him, I'd like to call on stage Pushkar Darde, who is the head of sales at Wipro Lighting, and Indrajit Saoji, Group Publishing Director at ITP Media India, to please give and honor him with a small token of appreciation from our end. Tanmay, you can. A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for setting such a beautiful precedence for this evening here today. Thank you so much, Ram. With this, we'll quickly move on to the next session of our day. Thank you once again. A very huge. Uh, thank you. With this, we'll quickly move on to the next session of our day, which is in a quick run through that Dorma Kaba wants to give us and take us through a journey of what their portfolio is about. And for this, I would love to call on stage Mr. Ankur Joshi, who is the manager for sales at Dorma Kaba India, to quickly run us through what their portfolio and their products is all about. Thank you.
Shizu, can you help me? For the connection, I need a help. It's not working.
कनेक्टिंग हुआ है
That's it.
छोड़ा या अभी आपने निकाले थे केबल
Good evening, all. I'm Ankur Joshi from Dorma Kaba. Thank you all for giving us an opportunity to present our solution. As you all know that when it's come to smart systems and sustainable solution, we are the global leaders. As the state says, we are 160-year-old company all across the globe. We are present in 130 countries with 16,000 employees, and we have more than 1,800 patents, and we are investing that much amount to give a developed product for the future-proof markets. Now move to next slide. When it's come to Market India, we are 25-year-old. We are younger with global essence and local presence. We are based at Chennai. Our headquarters is LEED certified building, which is run by solar systems. When it's come to Market India, we are taking care of all the countries from here. Market India comprises of various vertical, which can help from the project inception stage to the execution with market reach team backed by a service team, which is stationed locally at Pune. Post-pandemic, as Sir says, the paradigm is completely shifted in the industry. Everybody wants from manual accesses to touch-free access solution. There is a huge shift from mechanical solution accesses to electromechanical accesses, and all the components should be integrated completely
So with safety and security, there will be a seamless operation when people are flowing from here with the minimum use of this authentication. To serve the requirement, under the roof of Dorma Kaba, we having a bunch of products which can be serviced by a local service team. So when it's come to the perimeter security, we have a lot of products like boom barriers, full height turnstile, tripod barriers, which are robust and elegant in design. When it comes to touch-free access solution for the entrance, we have bunch of products like simple sliding doors, telescopic breakout, which serves the requirement from the 50% structural opening to the 90% structural opening. And each panel can take a weight from 80 kg to 1000 kg. So there is a huge range of uh, operators we have. I'll take a moment and launch new product that is ES Pro line, which is new in market. Let's have a video, please. When it comes to your beautiful lobbies, we have a bunch of revolving doors to offer. Everybody is looking after this traditional revolving door, which is having a canopy of 200 mm. But it is the world's slimmest revolving door we have, that is KTV Flex with 100 mm canopy. We can offer a 60 mm drive, which looks very elegant and give an extra look to your lobbies. When it comes to extra secure area, we have product to offer as a PIL. When it comes to swing barriers, when we are designing our lobbies, many questions arises in our mind to incorporate such products. Do we have a space? If we don't want to incorporate, can we compromise on the security? If we incorporate, can we match the aesthetics of lobby? To answer all the questions, we have Doma Kaba flap barriers. With such kind of flap barriers, we can achieve the aesthetics. We have lots of customization is possible. We can match give a enormous number of Rahal color shade with it. With it, we can do integration of FRS system. Also, in a modern day culture, we found that for a commercial building spaces, we have a lift destination control. To solve the problem, we have this customized Z model with available as. If you have something to means we can give that cladding option and many other options with our flat barriers. Now, I just would take a moment and introduce one more product of ours, that is Argus V60. When space is a constraint and we need to achieve a security, so with minimum space of 274 height, we can give this product.
The Argus V60 offers the smallest footprint of any optical turnstile in the market today. Argus V60 offers a footprint less than 10 inches, providing the ability to fit into the tightest of spaces, integrating into your access control system, and ensuring tailgate detection. Available in a variety of color options, V60 offers the same architectural design elements as the rest of our Argus line. The ergonomically positioned scan plate and status lights have been installed on the front of the turnstiles for better visibility and ease of use. Current optical turnstiles in the market detect passage using horizontal and/or vertical sensors that capture an array of roughly 15 to 30 points. This can create blind spots within the sensor array that lead to false alarm triggers or unrecognized tailgating attempts. Argus V60 offers a more effective solution. Using vertically positioned sensors, the V60 generates a more complete sensor capture, while Dorma Kaba's SenseLib analyzes the shapes of the array to differentiate between multiple people or objects within the lane. Pairing the more detailed sensor information captured by the V60 with SenseLib is what allows the V60 to effectively differentiate between a true tailgating attempt, a person carrying a large bag, or two people.
When it comes to integrated stage of integrated accesses, then we have a bunch of solutions, like we can give access control solution, master key solution, electronic as well as mechanical ironmongeries. When it comes to access control solution, From Dorma Kaba, we are offering a bunch of platforms, start from an individual door to n number of doors, which is scalable. And apart from this, we can give a huge range of accessories, which is wired and wireless. Apart with this, with the help of our BCom, we can be integrated with most of the platforms which companies are working like SAP, Workday, and Oracle. With the help of it, we can help with the people management, time management, access control. This is another flagship product of ours. When it comes to a master key solution, with one key, we can go for one campus, which is give the convenience to you. When it comes to ironmongeries, we can give surface mounted as well as the concealed door closer, which comes with rack and pin and cam action technology. With it, you can get all the benefits. When it comes to mortise lock and lever handle, both can become with mechanical as well as electrical and mechanical. And with it, we are giving the EPD certificate, which help for the lead certifications. Also, we are providing a solution for restroom kits, which is for sliding as well as the swing doors. When it comes to a demountable glass partition system, industry accepted this very well. With our Altera demountable glass partition system, it comes with invisible seals, comes with the industry-based acoustic from 33 dB to 50 dB. We can give with our partition system, which come with third-party acoustic certificate. With our partition system, we can give EPD, HPD, as well as the sustainability certificate also. When it comes to movable wall, everybody knows that Dorma Kaba is a pioneer in it. We have our manufacturing plant across the globe. So we have all the three mode of operation, that is manual, semi-automatic, and fully automatic. I'm just demonstrate a semi-automatic and fully automatic mobile walls where we can save the time. Let's have a video, please. Proudly said that in Pune market, we are associated with 260 customers. We successfully installed both automatic walls all across India. We have installed 100 numbers and Pune. Now moving to vertical mobile walls. These are the walls which are used to save the spaces. This is our flagship product. With such kind of walls, we are achieving up to 60 dB STC. That's our video. Around 8,000 numbers we successfully installed worldwide. In India, we installed 100 numbers. In the market, 10 numbers were installed. With this wall, we can give excellent use of mirrors, writable structure, perfect laminate. When it comes to sustainability, Dorma Kaba is doing everything to achieve the sustainability goal, or we are working with all the partners. Out of 17 listed United Nations sustainability goal, we are as a Dorma Kaba attending 9 goals, and we are keep working on it to achieve the sustainable goal. Thanks a lot for listening to me. I request all of you to visit our stall. Thank you.
He really tried to keep it very short and so quick. Thank you so much, Ankur, for running us through that presentation and that quick gist of what Dorma Kaba was all about. While we're setting up the stage, I'd like to introduce the first panel discussion topic and my speakers in this particular panel. The topic, as you all might have received in the agenda, is addressing the need and dynamics of creating next-gen workspaces. Now, this might though say next-gen, but there's a lot of amalgamation of mixed vibes that keep going into workspace creation, designing, operations, all of this together. And it mainly starts with the design intent and the direction that the builders themselves put into these spaces, and moving on to how the architects and the project heads deal with these. To explore further on this topic, we have an amazing moderator here today. Architect Kalpak Bhandari, who is the principal architect at Vikas Studio. And along with him are speakers Aparna Punde, who is the director for integrated service delivery for Pune operations at Westian. Joining them is Beck John, who is the executive vice president for architecture at Panchil Reality. With them is architect Dakshayani Seth, who is the regional head in Pune for edifice consultants, and along with them is Rishikesh Manjrekar, who is the executive director at Amar Builders, and Ronak Desai, who is the director at Rupa Group. And finally joining them is one of literally the next gen workspace zones that I could say, which is co-working. And from that particular end, we have Samir Singh, who is the chief operating officer at 91 Springboard. Like I mentioned, this panel is an collation of different stakeholders. We have the builders themselves, and each of these names are doing some extensive projects and some phenomenal projects that the cities across India actually have seen. And I'm so honored to have each of these members present here and share their thoughts with us. With this, I would love to call on stage my moderator and each of my speakers on stage to take on this panel. A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our speaker members. Also, I see a lot of crowd in the back. I'm requesting an honest request, actually. It would be really great if you can please come in and take your seats. We have a lot of time for networking post our sessions. So just in honest, respect of the platform and the speakers here, requesting all of you all to please maintain silence and take your seats here. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I think we have a good panel over here, all the stakeholders. I think the construction industry or any project is like a wheel with so many spokes to it. You have the developer, you have the architect, the designer, the consultants, the interior, and then people who actually run the show and operate those spaces. So let's try and see what everyone has to say. By the way, Ram, your presentation was great. I think I don't mind running it again because you've touched all the points. So I'm going to keep it slightly informal. I'm going to just ask questions. Whoever wants to pitch in, please pitch in. Yeah. To the developers, both of you, anyone can pitch in. What are the key parameters or the non-negotiable factors you definitely want from a project when you design or when you at the inception stage? What are your wants from the project?
You want to take it?
So as a developer, I think first thing I want to do is sell. I think that's the first thing. You can't build a Taj Mahal and be happy at it and look at it. This is what I have built, right? It has to make economic sense. I think that's the one thing. While making economic sense, the first thing that comes, and this is what we do and we follow, is the occupant. I mean, is the office building occupant going to be happy in it? Is he going to be
affording to pay that rental? Because obviously we are a outsourcing market. We are talking mostly about offices, so I'm saying. So is it at $1 a square feet? If it's at $1 a square feet, does that justify my yield on the construction cost I'm paying? And within that, is it a sustainable development? And does this outlie the office trends? That means if I'm building today and a life cycle of a building is 4 decades, how long will it outlast? Am I designing it to beat the trends of the next 3 decades? Am I being able to recognize those trends and encompassing that in the construction today? I think these are the, I mean, obviously financial viability first, but then that comes under three parameters is what I would put the three things in what I would look at a project, office project to start with. Yeah.
All right. Ronak, anything?
Yeah, so right there, esteemed speaker just mentioned numbers are very important and numbers play a pivotal role in whatever we do, right? So for any smart office, I really think the building needs to be really, really smart. So if the building is not smart, I think you can't intertwine the smart office into that particular building. So I think, what we have done in the past 3-4 years is a factual case study. I'd like to talk about that particular building a bit because, like, sir was mentioning, pandemic has changed a lot of things, and this is a project I'm talking about in Navi Mumbai. It's called Rupa Renaissance. In 2020, this building was absolutely ready in terms of going live to public, in the market. And in exactly March 2020, when things started to change around, we were about to apply for a OC. And this was for developers like us. This was our first transition to retaining the building apart from like strata selling the building. So it was a mammoth 1.5 million square feet, and we had holded the whole inventory. Now the struggle was real. The tenants to find tenants to come back to office for the first 7-8 months was absolutely, I would say, nightmarish. We had to go back to drawing board, do a lot of tweaks in the design. I'll talk about tech a bit. It's we put UV filters in all our AHU, which was a part of the bombshell handover. We got on-site renewable energy in terms of 350 kVA solar plant on the terrace. In terms of interior design to make it more engaging, we had to put some 600 meters of parametric tubes hanging from the ceiling, do a 120-meter life-size Navi Mumbai map. So literally, do everything that it takes to get that employee back to work. And 2021, we launched with a fresh perspective. Come 2023, we were the fastest standalone building above 1 million square feet to be completely leased out. So I think whatever we did clearly worked out for us. And this includes changing the design standards, giving the tenant a dashboard which speaks about the health and safety of the building. So a lot of these aspects, and that's what I think is the future of commercial spaces. And that's what I think a developer needs to make a basis for future developments.
Tech, in terms of architecture, you are working with Panchashil, which is at the forefront of a lot of commercial buildings. So your Panchashil has been at the forefront of a lot of good developments over here. As a design head over there, what are the key parameters that you look at from the design front?
Okay. So primarily we are into the shell part of the building.
Yeah.
I mean, we are not much on the interior front. So if when you say you start a building, I think all said and done, it has to be efficient. So it all starts with actually even literally at the concept level, how you orient the building and how you kind of make it more climate responsive. And of course, it comes to the parking, which grids you use, how you increase your efficiency in the parking, how you do your man and material movement happening within the core, how you design the core with respect to the floor plate. All that comes come to the play. And then, of course, then we get onto the skin. What is the skin? How does the skin kind of develop? How efficient it is in terms of getting the being the air conditioning, how we can reduce on the air conditioning, all that. So we're now moving from air cool system to water cool systems, and all that is happening now. So that is, I think it's a huge thing which is happening. And pandemic actually really kind of like Ram said very clearly, it kind of put a check into everything, and we had to introspect a lot. So from a office planning, we found this a lot from a clientele point of view. It started with doing very I mean, efficiency was in numbers. How many people you could fit into the flow plate? That was the efficiency part of it. Just I think a couple of years before the pandemic hit, it was all about collaborative spaces and efficiency, both of them trying to, or number of people coming into this thing. Pandemic hit, the whole ball game changed. It was all about spacing out people now. So it was we had this situation where people are saying that we need more area than what we had designated. Then came the work from home, which I think as a person, I think humans are social animals, so we have to come back to the office. I mean, that's a given. But then, of course, now the hybrid mode has come in. More, I think the hybrid mode is working more from the perspective of commuting between the office and the home, which is now becoming, in a place like Pune, is becoming a treacherous thing. Even a decent distance takes you about an hour and a half or 2 hours to reach. So then the whole thing became into hybrid. Now it's a little interesting space we are in, where we have both the collaborative space happening, at the same time you even have the quiet pods, if you want to call it, and with a flexi working desk. So now it's an interesting space we are on situation in. So I think the efficiency now slowly is getting into how you plan the office in such a way that it can adapt very well to any situations further
True.
on. Yeah.
So, Aparna and Dakshani, what is your take in terms of the interior design? How has pandemic changed? What was it pre-pandemic and what is it now? Also, in terms of sustainability, what are the key things that you look at when you are designing, let's say, interiors for large
Okay, so
clients?
I think in terms of interior design post-pandemic, what has changed is the way the spaces look now in terms of sustainability, of course, but also how hackable they are, how adaptable they are, how flexible they are, how agile they are. So when I talk about adaptable or modular or hackable, it is not about just furniture, but in terms of how hackable can the spaces be in terms of the partition systems. How they can change, how you can modular, how you can modulate them, how can the flooring be modular, and how you can rearrange all of that. So it's about, I think, repurposing each space. So if there is initially, I think there were meeting spaces, there were quiet pods, there were workspaces. Now I think it is all one, and how you can repurpose each space as serving different functions. I think that's what has changed over time.
So one space being used in multiple ways at different times.
Yes, we've designed spaces which have got, different purposes. Same space, but have got 4 or 5 different
So
purposes
this is
to
something
them.
you're saying that has become more important post-pandemic, or was it before also?
I think it has become more important post-pandemic because it is difficult to get people to offices. So this kind of lures them to come back to offices.
So the interior design
the
has to be
flexibility,
something
the
that is inviting.
technology that has, really taken over now. So I think these functional spaces do,
Okay.
kind of help.
In addition, I would say that the more the world gets connected, there is a diverse workforce which is working on in all these organizations. And we need to go beyond the standard rudimentary things of, say, gender diversity, race diversity, nationality, and address a wide range of employees when we design the space. So probably a junior trainee who is joined from a rural background sits with an expat on the same floor, and we need to cater to the diverse requirements of these people. And while doing that, obviously, as she said, the workplace has to be more agile, and it has to be more modular and flexible. So it has to be a human-centric design, basically. You have to address on multiple fronts. So that also has been incorporated now post-pandemic. So that is what I.
Okay. Samirji, what is your experience? You come from a solid hospitality background. How are you pampering your client?
Good evening, everyone. So when it comes to smart office, when it comes to
architectural design, I'm the least knowledgeable on the panel. All right. So I'll take a stab at it a little differently. I think what the respected keynote speaker mentioned, and sir, by the way, I loved your presentation and every bit of what you mentioned in that. I think what stuck with me, and when I was, thinking about my points to mention, at the end of the day, it boils down to why are we doing what we're doing, whether we architects, whether we designers. I think it's for the end occupier, right? And the idea is that the occupier of the space should walk away with a sense of pride. That's very important. I think what pandemic has done and changed is that the war for talent is raging and the battleground is the workplace, right? So the companies today, in order to attract talent, it's very important for them that their workplaces are inspiring, motivating, for people to come, like she also mentioned, and they have an ability to nurture personal and collective growth. Okay, you have to give a reason for people to come back to work, and whether you like it or not, the employers want employees to come back. Still, a large portion of employees don't want to come back to work. They want to work from home. And I think the middle ground is even what the research paper says that I think we'll settle down somewhere between 3 days work from home or 3 days work from office and 2 days work from home. Uh, and what will attract people to come back is A, when they feel they're more productive at work, when they feel they're more connected at work, it adds on to their well being and they develop a sense of attachment to the employer. So holistically, I think whatever we're trying to do, it has to address all of this. Because at the end of the day, the occupier has to come and occupy the space. And I put all of this together as what has to be at the core and the purpose of what we're doing and why we're doing is EX, which is the employee experience. I think that's why we all exist.
Okay.
Thanks.
In terms of well-being, what are the key things that, or how do you address well-being in an office building? And also, while you're addressing well-being, another parameter, inclusivity. How do you address, and does it start from the very beginning in terms of planning? As a developer, do you give emphasis on that? Because there are various steps into a building or various stages where these things become very, very crucial in the experience of a person who's differently abled. Yeah. So are these parameters addressed and how important do you think these are?
Uh, two-part question. I'll answer the second one first. So, well-being is extremely important. It is like he just said, it's what defines a building is the client experience or the occupant experience, how I define it. Right now, what makes our building an outlier is what will be the experience. So, for example, I'm doing a building right now. There's 46 amenities in a commercial building. So you can work out in a gym. You can do a haircut. Not me, but others can do that. But you can shop at a supermarket. You can do a laundry and pick it up in the evening. You can do your car wash. You even have a faith room. You can even take a guitar lesson and you have 26 places to go to eat.
How large is the development?
This is 4 million square feet. This is one of the largest campuses in Pune, but this is how far we are going to cater wellness or rather the occupant experience. Your second question was inclusivity. We're bidding for a very large transaction right now. And it's the first time in India, some tenant has asked me for a gender neutral washroom. And we are giving them now in all our projects. Because multinationals are coming and they're coming from their global mandates of these things, and we see that this trend will grow, whether I believe in the cause or not, but it's something my occupant wants. And finally, he is the one who pays the rent. The 2016 Disability Act defines an NBC code for the building. We comply by all of that. So these things are extremely important now. If you want to again, the occupant experience. If you want to create a world-class building, I think this is something that's bare minimum right now.
Ronak, I think your project in Navi Mumbai also has multiple things within one project. Yeah. So what I understand from you is also related to sustainability in a way. Our earlier way of living, where niche dukan, upar makan, there's no need to travel, was actually a very sustainable way. No need to go from one place to the other, no need of cars, nothing. So your project, I believe, also has co-living, co-working, hotel. I believe so. Can you just?
That's absolutely true, and I would totally agree with what Mr. Rishikesh just mentioned, right? So even though it's a 1.5 million square feet development, we have created kind of a mini township ecosystem in itself, and this all eventually is for employee well-being and social well-being. So right from a co-living, so that hiring can be pan India, they can stay on campus. That also intertwines to sustainability, because then the travel time and your commute gets saved. We've got a doctor on campus 24/7 with a path lab attached to it. Gymnasium, like sir was mentioning, it's like a clubhouse which you find in a high-end residential. So you're spending literally half of your time at your workplace, and you are actually very tired when you go back home. So you would want to complete all your fitness stuff at your. So, and to combine that with a hotel on campus, that really boosts the whole ecosystem in terms of giving more options for F&B and events and town halls and stuff like that. So well-being is, yes, you need to create a mini township in your office buildings, and it's no more a tick mark just putting a two treadmill, small weight stations and telling that we have a gym. You need a fully well-equipped infrastructure behind it. On the inclusivity bit, honestly, I think we as developers just need to be very wary of this particular fact that architects need to have that thoughtful intent to think beyond that typical user. It's more to do with the architects who they are designing the building to think of inclusivity right from the word go, and not after the building is actually created. And inclusivity is not just having a few ramps at a side of your main entrance. It goes way beyond that. So I think it's principally the architect's job, but it's the developer's job to tell him that this is a no-negotiable design standard. So
So
I think
choosing
that,
the right architect
yes,
is the
that's right.
thing that you can look at.
Pretty
Just
much.
like to add
Yeah,
a bit
please.
here. Sorry, I would just like to add a bit here. Inclusivity, I think yes and no. I have two takes on this. Yes, because rightly said, the developers are doing everything that is required to make the spaces fit the size or be inclusive. As architects, we are introducing gender neutral toilets. We are giving tactile surfaces. We are giving color contrasts. We are introducing induction loops. The clients are including these as mandates in their playbooks or guidelines, stuff like this. So while, the entire chain is ticking off the boxes for inclusivity, are the institutions or the corporates or India open to embracing, these people to make it really inclusive is still a question mark.
Uh, I come across a lot of situations where parameters and guidelines are defined by the JLLs and CBREs. Yeah. One of your Ram, your statement about glass boxes. Unfortunately, it is so-called a safe proposition for a developer to have a glass facade because it adheres to the mandates that these leasing companies or ease of leasing is. So on one hand, your parameters that these people define are a glass box. Now the standard height earlier was 12 feet clear, 3.6. Now we are talking about 14 feet, 4.2. That is, so on one hand, we are talking about building more and more. On the other hand, we are struggling to be as sustainable as we can. So that's a contradiction.
Just when you mentioned that, things are changing now.
Yeah.
It probably was about, I would say, till about 4 or 5 years back that what you're saying is right. But now with all the MNCs coming in and everybody becoming very aware of the situation of being sustainable, um, getting glass boxes done is now slowly getting, or you do a glass box, but you use a very high performance glass. So if you see 10 years or 15 years back, the kind of glass we use and the kind of glass we are using today is a far more different. But it's also, we are taking a big shift from that in terms of, as developers also, that not necessarily every face has to have a glass.
True.
Right. So south, you ensure that you put all your core there or you put your services there and you keep all your glass facade probably on the north and eastern face. So this shift is happening.
So sensitivity to design still
Yeah,
exists.
yeah, absolutely.
And it's
absolutely
not
there. It's
purely
there.
governed
Yeah,
by the.
absolutely.
But of course, ROI matters. When you say
No,
expensive
this-
classes
Mhm.
are Do the numbers really allow you to do that?
Yeah, this is
Would
this.
all the developers be able to do that? You being
So
Panchasheel and Amar over here, yes, you've been successful at doing it.
No, I'll tell
Is
you
it
what,
the-
I mean, I sit here as on two boats with my
Yeah.
feet on two boats, one being an architect, being the head of design in Panchil, and also being a developer at the same time, developer background. I'll tell you that, there's a, initially, probably few years back, 10 years back, we used to thinking, putting a great glass, performance glass is not going to help us get a better rental. Let's be frank. But now I think the whole, the shift has occurred in the vision in terms of we actually do a good glazing, and that will definitely help our tenants who in the process will reduce energy consumption, and that will help the world in overall. So that change and shift is happening. You'll be surprised it will be happening much faster than what you're thinking.
Okay.
Basically, the developers give us a flow plate, which is the baseline for us. And there is a lot of integration between the flow plate that we get. The flow plate that we get and the design, it becomes like a beginning for us. And if we have a good developer, if we have a good light penetration, if we have good toilet ratios, as he said, gender neutral toilets provided. So to integrate the interiors into that space becomes very easy for us. As I earlier mentioned, that now the developers have started maintaining LEED and WELL standards into their guidelines. So again, it pushes the clients to go for it so that it becomes a holistic solution for the end user. So that overlap is very important, and we realize it while we work with various developers. Having a good baseline will help us definitely move ahead.
So one more question for you all. I see floor plates getting larger and larger
Yes.
because they are more efficient, they are more cost effective. On one hand, we talk about sustainability and light penetration. What happens to that when the floor plates go on increasing?
Yes, we do.
Do you come across projects where the floor plates are huge, but you have glazing only on one side, the other sides are all?
Kalpak, as an architect, I think the unified DCR has done enough damage to the whole environment out here. It's just increased the FSI when the city's infrastructure has remained same. Very sad. I mean, I dread what will happen another 5 years later when all these massive buildings will come up. You're having a lot of residential buildings going under redevelopment. What it's going to do, I really don't know. But answering your question in terms of, so today we are doing projects, single towers of 2.53 million square feet. Floor plates, a single floor plate is going up to 1.7 lakh square feet. So at least in Panchil, we end up doing a lot of linear buildings. If you see, most of our buildings are linear now with a core, and we ensure that it's only two grid.
So do you select land parcels accordingly?
Well, that is always always a issue. And then what's happening today is also that that because of this higher FSI or whatever you say, you have buildings literally built on the setbacks. So especially smaller parcels of land, and they tend to go high, and that's a scary situation.
So clearly the bylaws or the policy makers over here are or need to be made more sensitive towards.
No, I would say that
No.
They should, they should, this thing should have come after the government had put the infrastructure in place. It has happened, this has happened before that, and that's where the problem is.
So here, unfortunately, infrastructure always follows development. Development happens first.
Unlike,
So the role of the developer over here and designers like us or everyone sitting over here becomes far more critical.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Who wanted to say something?
So, since I'm the only developer, and you can't paint all developers.
You have Ronak here.
With a bad brush. So I'll. So UDCPR has given a lot of FSI, but you can't. So at least we're not consuming at least 20-30% FSI, because what's the point of building something that is not going to be leasable? Right. So not all developers you can paint with the same brush. So that is something I would like you to correct. Number one. Number two, yes, I mean, I think I follow his design a lot. It's simple. It's center core, 8 meters, 1.5 grid, you get light. So we follow very simple. 85% of my floor plate, I'm doing a floor plate which is 400,000 square feet. 85% of my floor plate is more than 110 lux level or higher. 90% of my floor plate is more than 100 lux level.
Okay.
So it's a myth. I mean, so I think taking one paintbrush and saying FSI greed and all is this thing. But anyways, if you build it, is not going to get occupied. So you have to build something that is
So you have to build smartly, design smartly.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right.
Answering your question in terms of do we always have a linear plot to design? No. In fact, the before even we kind of lock in a plot or buy in a plot, we actually do test fit outs. If it doesn't work within our parameters, we refuse it out.
Right.
Samir ji, a little more. Where do you see co-working spaces going and how far? Can you just enlighten us in terms of what different demands or requirements are there from clients in terms of their needs? What has changed?
So, uh, I think first of all, everybody or a lot of people perceive co-working with what co-working was pre-pandemic, right? Co-working has also changed. Actually, it's no longer, in my view, just co-working. It's a flexible workspace. That's how I view it. And there are three forms of customers which are there. The same customer may move from one stage of its life cycle to the next and to the third. And broadly, I would classify these life cycles, which are also a representation of the kind of demand that you have. One is you have these startups, small SMEs, freelancers who would typically want to work out of a co-working space, the vanilla co-working space or the original co-working space, where you have a lot of small teams working together, networking together, coming together in one common place, and the need for that community, right? The second kind of client that exists within these workspaces itself is a larger client in itself, who does not want to go straight away to a developer or to a landlord and take space, and could be because of XY reasons. And we've kind of seen that post pandemic, because they want flexibility, they want lot of shorter lock-ins, they want less amount of seats, even though they are large enterprise client, even though they're large MNC. So it could be possible that within the same center of a flex operator, you have one large client who occupies 50% of the space, and the balance is split between smaller teams. So it's like and I call it like a hybrid or an enterprise co-working. And the third, which has really picked up flavor in the past 3 to 4 years, is the managed office. And I think who occupies what is your bucket of demand out there. The same customer may grow from point A to point C, or you have existing clients who will fit into point A, point B, point C, depending on the needs and requirements. So I think these are the three broad buckets of what the kind of client exists out there. And when it comes to flexible operators or flex operators, that's what they're trying to cater to, these three specific verticals of demand.
Okay. I think we have to wind up soon. So any closing statement that you would want to make in terms of where you would see or how would you take things further on design of workplaces and sustainability front? What do you think is the way ahead for you?
I think Pune has a market share of around 10% of the India office leasing. India did 60 million last year. We did 6. I think we are just about to explode. Having said that, we don't have super A grade office space as much as Bangalore and Hyderabad does. So we have a huge potential to compete, and I think we're just at the cusp of it. And when we say A grade, I think it means all of those things we've discussed today. So I think there's a huge opportunity for everyone, because everyone in this room is stakeholders in that. I think the next decade would probably be one of the most exciting decades for commercial real estate in Pune. So yeah.
So just Rishikesh, just tell me that number of how many million square feet platinum grade or sustainable development that you've already done as
So we've done so I'm a firm believer in sustainable development, and in fact, I'm the co-chair for the Pune IGBC chapter as well.
Yeah.
We've completed close to 6.7 million square feet of platinum rated IGBC buildings, and another 7 million pre-certified which are under construction. So that's
a great figure.
So that's what we believe in. Yeah.
I think, I mean, I'll just touch about the inclusivity part of it. It's a very interesting thing that when you travel in UAE, they don't call them as a handicapped person or differently able. They call them as people of determination. The moment you name them that way, the whole vision changes. The whole perspective of that person changes. So from doing ladies and gents toilet, I'm taking just the toilet part of it, to handicap access toilet. Then it came to a lot of some of our clients demanding transgender toilets. Now that becoming a part of their workforce, and now to the latest one is basically gender neutral toilets. So it's an interesting transition which we are going through. Maybe India, it's probably at the early stages, but I think it's going to rapidly go into it because a lot of these are MNCs are coming into, and they are actually looking at these kind of spaces. So in that sense, I think again,
So
interesting.
sooner or later, we don't have to look at this as a special thing. It's going to be,
Yeah,
going to
as
be
a-
part of.
And as a designer, I'm more than happy to do a gender neutral toilets. You're
Yeah.
dealing with lesser shafts, reducing, and the planning becomes a lot more easier.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think the faster that we can move from linearly designed spaces to circular design spaces, I think
Yeah.
the more inspiring
So
it is
one
going to be.
last question for you all. When you say circular, build intelligently, reuse, modular, how do you look at that in terms of interior design?
So like I
So
mentioned
new
earlier,
buildings and new developments and new interiors, where do you look at reuse and recycle? And I can understand modular and all those things. But do you make efforts to recycle or reuse stuff from earlier spaces or
It should be upcycling is what I would say.
upcycling? Okay.
Not recycling here. And actually, we should promote that industry where the seconds material is available, probably wherever there is a demolition happening. If we develop that consciously to upscale those products professionally, I think the clients would be open for it. So, for example, your collab spaces, the furniture that we use in collab, that can be definitely upcycled because it's going to get used for a very small time. So it's not like an ergonomic chair that you're looking at, right? So yes, that industry needs a lot of boost from.
No, no, one thing is you can do it. My question is, are you doing it?
At times, if the clients are open for that idea, we are promoting that, but it needs a overall boost from the industry, is what I feel. And
The client should support it as well, yeah?
yes, they also need proper financing for the products to be more attractive and good looking.
But as sort of designers, we need to push for it, right?
Yes, we do need to push for it.
Yeah, okay.
So to so to answer your closing question of design, sustainability, and circular design, in terms of design as developers, fundamentally, I think we have taken a conscious call to develop all our future developments in composite steel construction. That's we've tasted good success with Trooper Renaissance. That implies that your beam depth is practically 1 feet, 320 mm. We've got a column size less than 150 mm, and these are rolled steel sections. So when it can be like, it's like when you talk about circular design, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years down the line, to reuse these members is much more easier than your conventional reinforcement steel bars, right? So that's a fundamental call. Also, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So for you as a developer in Mumbai, speed of construction, cost is not a parameter because Mumbai real estate allows you to do that.
No.
And on the sustainability front, after the life cycle of the building, the material can be reused.
That's one.
Unfortunately, Pune is still at a place where we are still struggling. We are at that cusp, whether it makes sense or not.
See, I'll tell you, for a 1.5 million square feet building, if you look at a conventional RCC building, you are looking at anywhere between 3 years to 3.5 years. For the same size of building, for a composite steel construction, you're looking at 17 months or even lesser than that. You compare this with your cost of capital as against the cost of construction. So, and nobody is a developer with money in their bank, right? We all work on debt. So that's one point to it. But it's the future. Composite steel construction is the future.
So the point here is we have to use technology smartly,
Right.
which works in multiple ways.
True.
Speed of construction, reusability, time, finances, because ultimately it needs to make sense for everyone, all the stakeholders within a project.
Absolutely.
True.
On similar notes on sustainability, what we have done is we've invested in the 50 megawatt solar farm at a very remote location, and that brings in I mean, there is a capex involved, but eventually in the long run, it's a 27-year project, and your per unit tariff is practically 2.5 rupees. So on the sustainability bit, that's what I think we should all be looking at.
Great.
So I'll try and end from where it began. At the end of the day, like Sir mentioned, it should be leasable, right? And I think the important, as per me, the important things what makes it leasable today are how well is your design integration with the ethos of the brand that who's going to occupy the space, the values, culture, etc., etc. Second is how well does it cater to the employee well-being in terms of ergonomics, air quality, collaborative spaces, etc. Third is, which is very important today, I call it hotelization or hospitalization. Some people call it amenitization of the workspaces, such as gym, wellness rooms, spa, or let's say curated F&B options within the workspaces. And fourth and fifth would be like people mentioned, sustainability and inclusivity. I think these are the five broad themes in which I would classify and occupy as demands.
All right. So 1/3 of a life where we spend has to be done, designed, thought of very, very thoughtfully. Yeah, 1/3, right? All right. I think
Last mention about one building called the Edge, which is the most sustainable and most efficient building. It's there in Amsterdam, and Deloitte hosts almost 2,000 employees in that building. And it's fully automated. They've developed an app. The moment an employee wakes up, it gets integrated with their schedule and calendars. So the moment your car comes in, it recognizes the car, allots a parking for you. There's a locker kept vacant for you. There is a system ready for you. As per your schedules, probably the scrum spaces, the hot desks are available, and even the breakout spaces, the coffee that you like is ready for you. So it's automated to that level, and the building is the most green building. So today we are talking about smart building and the green building. So this is the most smart and green building. I think we are all moving towards it.
on one hand, I like it. On the other hand, I'm scared.
Agree.
All right. All right. I think, yeah.
Are running out of time, but maybe if we could take one question. Is anyone would like to pose any questions to the panel members? Okay, there's one there.
Good evening, everyone. This is Kapil Sidani. My question to everyone here is, we are talking about change, the new requirements and all that. So how much are we investing for future, say 10 years post now? And how that things are going to integrate now in your projects right now, especially to the builders, all the three?
No. So what has happened, if you see historically, if you pull yourself, say 15, 20 years back when this this mammoth office buildings came up, the quality of material was very subgrade compared to what we get today. Today, what you get ACP panels are far better than what you used to get in those days. Your glass is far better now. So I think what we as a developer also, we are shifting to materials which can last longer. So all these buildings which we had done probably 15 years back, we are come to a point of refurbishing it, both internally and externally, both. But now when you're selecting the material, you're making sure that one, it can sustain a longer time, probably 35 years. But also we are looking at actually doing, for example, toilets. Now we don't do any wet walls in toilets. We're doing all hanging panel systems in the toilet. So you could actually refurbish the toilet in 48 hours. Friday evening, the employee goes, and Monday morning he gets a brand new toilet. So this is what we are moving on to in terms of this thing. So yeah.
In this particular panel, we discuss everything about building new workplaces. And we are talking about building more.
Every time, all these conferences that we attend, we keep on talking about building more, building better. But definitely, we are talking about building. In the same panel as today, we had a discussion. There was a brief mention of the infrastructure not being right, where we talk about building, whereas the moment you get out of the building, we were discussing this with Naresh Narasimhan, and he said our buildings are excellent, 10 on 10. But the moment you step out, it's 1 on 10. And we all talk about this and we face this every day. And I see eminent builders here from the profession, basically in Pune. And we've seen the state of the infrastructure. The building gets made first. We don't look at the infrastructure. The new rules give you more freedom to build more and more. Is there any kind of effort? I don't want a political answer, please. Is there any kind of realistic effort happening to push the authorities to work on the infrastructure? Because as I said, once you are inside the building, we're talking of million square feet here, million square feet there, 1.5 million, 10 million, all these figures have been tossed around. How are you as people who are in the development industry pushing the authorities to make the infrastructure better? For earlier on, when I came to Pune in 1991, to come this distance, it would take me not more than 20 minutes. Today, it takes me 1.5 hours. So what is the building industry doing towards making this better? Is there any effort, or are we only looking at building more and more?
Can a non-developer answer it?
No, a developer has to answer it.
Okay.
Because they are building more and more.
I think you developer is building more and more because it's my roti roji. So you cannot blame me. I cannot stop my roti roji.
We as architects are also designing for
fair. So you are designing, so I have to build. So
we are
let me answer.
we are culprits as well. We are equally
fair.
there in the game.
So jokes apart, I think you're absolutely right. Infrastructure worries me. When we with very broad chest say, ki, wow, I'm doing 8 million, 10 million and all. Is there really, is the employee going to be reaching there? Or is it going to take him 45 minutes for 20 kilometers like Bangalore? This is something that keeps us up in the night. Now there is a diplomatic answer, but what your question, to be very precise and in the sense of time, I'll be on. So yes, a lot of developers are coming front and coming with public private partnerships to do infrastructure solutions. I think something like what they have done is last mile connectivity. What we are doing a lot is last mile connectivity now, from metro to things like that. Even picking up roads, whole roads, instead of paying premiums, we are negotiating with the government to give us roads to maintain of an area or things like that. That is under discussion. Having said that, we are also lobbying all the time. I think I met a tenant not less than 2 weeks back, a Fortune 10 client. He went to Hyderabad and then came to Pune, and he said, Rishi, you came to meet me, but when I went to Hyderabad, the Chief Minister's PA received me and took him to his cabin. And there he had called all the developers and we did a swayamvar there for me. So that is also changing as we speak, but that is changing as we speak. I think we are lucky. I was in Indore, and something very funny. They said Indore has fantastic infrastructure, but they were jealous about Pune. We don't have the growth that you have. So I think somewhere we are being truly Puneri. We are complaining about so much growth, but not the infrastructure. So I think we should be happy with the growth we have. But yes,
I think that is the problem with even places like Nagpur, where the roads are nice,
but they don't have a growth. We have a growth machine.
So here it's on the contrary. So we should be having a.
This is a debate, but it's a very long.
This is a topic that can keep going on forever. We all know that. I think Kalpak's trying to.
I think, Ashwin sir, what's important over here is we as citizens, architects, developers, designers, conscious people who suffer every day should put in a little bit with our associations, with the government, form a team and take it further. There is no other way. It's very easy to say one person or the developer to do it. But we as designers, urban planners also need to pitch in. There are few people who are pitching in. We have to support and increase that number. That is the only way we can do things, is my take on it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so yes, Kalpak, thank you so much. And to each of my speakers, a brilliant and a very big applause to them. I think this panel was a proper mixing pot of opinions, thoughts, perspectives, and it was so brilliantly put in, and none of them shied away from taking up any of the hard hitting, or you try to corner them quite a lot. I saw that, but they were so sporty in each of their answers and they came through. Thank you so much to each of my speakers. I would quickly like to call on stage Mr. Somnath Chaudhary, who is the National Key Accounts Manager at South Asia Dormakaba, and Pratish Panda, who is the country manager at Forbo Flooring, to present a small token of appreciation from each of our end. There they are. First, I would love to felicitate the moderator of this panel who very coolly put across some very hard-hitting questions and kept pressing on them. But thank you so much, Kalpak, for this brilliant panel discussion. It was really nice. A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Kalpak Fakir. Maintaining his cool as always and still putting it through. And second, we have Aparna Punde, who is the director. Okay, sorry, Beck John. Beck. Oh, okay. Aparna, thank you so much. We next have Mr. Beck John, who is the Executive Vice President, Architecture at Panchil Reality. He literally wore two shows here, standing for two communities, that is architectural and the builder community. Not an easy task, but thank you so much, Beck. We next have Dakshayani Seth, who is the Regional Head at Pune for Edifice Consultants. Thank you so much, Dakshayani, for bringing us that brilliant perspective into interiors that you got in. And we next have Mr. Rishikesh Manjrekar, the Executive Director at Amar Builders. Thank you, Rishikesh, for taking some tough questions, even from the audience, but thank you so much for that. We next have Ronak Desai, who is the Director at Rupa Group. Thank you, Ronak, for sparing time and coming and joining us here at this platform. And we finally have Samir Singh, who's the Chief Operating Officer at 91 Springboard, who was one of the leading brands in co-working spaces. And thank you so much. I would just one small request for all my speakers to please come ahead for a small photo walk. Yeah, please, if you can could come ahead. Ahead. Yes. Here are the speakers of the first panel discussion, ladies and gentlemen. A huge round of applause for all of them. Thank you so much for coming in here today. We'll quickly now next go to our next session. We have that is by Hafle, and presenting on behalf of the company and the brand is Gurunath Gavli, who's the Assistant Regional Manager at Projects West for Hafle. I would love to have him on stage, and I would love to once again thank all my speakers of the previous panel. Thank you. Mr. Gavli, it would be really great if you could come on stage and quickly take us through about what Hafle is doing in this industry, especially for the workspace segment. Thank you.
The AV first.
Excuse me. I think we're playing a back TV.
I mean, we were glad because we were part of that project. So, but
Cricket has given me everything in life. But in return, it asks for two things: being determined and attentive. And now being attentive to details has become a way of life, especially on this new playground called So while making this home to be our favorite place, we're looking for a partner who understood what we wanted. And we found Affleck. They match my taste. They value precision. They offer great design. And they have an knack to make homes intuitively intelligent. You know, there are two spaces that matter the most to me, the field and home. And I've learned maximizing the value of both in my life.
We can move on to the presentation. All right. Good evening, Pune. Last year, Hafele was celebrating our 100 years of operation globally. And by the time we were concluding our celebration for being, one of the few companies to complete 100 years, we partnered with another centurion, which was the great Sachin Tendulkar. And like how the fans of Sachin Tendulkar are spread all across India, we want to create Hafele fans across India with our products and solutions. Although Hafele has a range of products for your hotels, hospitals, residential, but if you are in Pune, you're going to talk about corporate because, like Rishikesh ji just mentioned, Pune is the big thing for the office space market when India are contributing, close to 10% of what the entire country offers. So we're going to run through the product offerings very specific to the office market or a corporate office. So I just mentioned that we completed 100 years of operations globally last year's, and we have our presence in more than 38 countries, close to 8,000 employees worldwide, and around 1,000 employees here in India. Our presence in South Asia, we have our head office in Mumbai. We also have a very strong presence in Pune with our design center, and very proud to have our design center in one of the Panchashils buildings. So we are your customers, and thank you very much for that. Along with that, you can find Hafele product at every pin code. That's the strong distribution network we have. So anywhere you need our range of products, you can find it easily. Countries like Nepal, Sri Lanka, Bhutan are also managed by Hafele India. We have a range of products from your door solutions to sliding doors, and many other products which probably you may not be aware of that, we can offer under one basket. And we're going to take a short glimpse of all those product categories, what we have here in next, 4 to 5 minutes. So these are the range of products what we have: door solution, furniture solutions, lighting, pantry, appliances, restroom, and surfaces. So when I talk about door solutions, the first product which, comes for engagement is the entrance of any of the offices. And we are very proud to inform you that we have a good range of product when it comes to door automatics, not only limiting ourselves to straight or biparting automatic solutions, but we also have curved biparting and many other different range of products in the same offering. Along with that, we also have revolving door, and one product which is on the right hand side of UPT, which is the swing door, the auto swing door operator. After COVID, many offices wanted to have touchless accessibility in the offices to maintain high hygiene in their office, and that's when we were able to launch this product in India, and we have got tremendous success with this product in all major offices across India. Hafele sliding system, I think we should be very proud. I mean, we are very proud that Hafele has more than 20 type of different sliding solutions to offer. Right from sliding a door which weighs 25 kg, we can slide a panel, up to 500 kg as well. So that's the variety of product offerings what we have in our range. These are the products which are widely now used in office space. Door solution we call as style door hardware, and now the kind of doors which are being used in office spaces has changed completely in comparison to what they were almost a decade ago. So we have complete range of products and solution compatible with all the major style door vendors operating here in India. Another important product, I think the most important product when it comes to the office space market, which is the sliding acoustic wall. It allows you to divide your conference room into two parts, so you can use both of them at tandem together. And I would like to thank CCBA Design for giving us the opportunity to be part of the FOPS project, which Sir just mentioned. I think it was the first presentation of today's evening. So we've done n number of projects, right from corporates to different hotels all across India and globally. And we have done projects up to partition height up to 14 meters, 13 meters as well. So these are few of the images. This was the product which we have also supplied to FOPS here in Pune. And along in FOPS, I think we are supplying every month to different corporate office spaces, hotels all across Pune as well as in India. These are few of the images of the product. Then it comes to traditional door handles. We have a range of products and with different design, different finishes, and a complete basket of products, right from cylinders to door handles to door closures, all can be maintained with the same finish. Important product, yes, because a lot of emphasis now being given on the fire door products, and we have a complete range of solution for fire door hardware with all the CE certification and all the necessary certification needed to get our products approved. And this helps the developers as well, because if the certificates are not in line, probably the developer has a problem for getting an OC and a few different hurdles. Along with the door solution, we are the company. The best part of Hafele is that we can give many things in one basket. Right from giving you the entry solution to your door solution. We can also be part of furniture in your office space. We can be part of such space-saving table solutions what we have in our range, to the locks which are used in your lockers. Also a dialogue system to enable a safe locking for your drawer systems as well. We are also into lighting, as I was mentioning in the early part of my presentation. Whenever we get an opportunity to present to an audience of such a high caliber, we get responses that we were not aware that you are also into lighting, you're also into surfaces. So I think platform like this gives us an opportunity to educate you all about the range of products and solutions what we have in our range. So these are a few of the images. Pantry solutions, Hafele people know us for our kitchen solutions. And with the n number of clients we meet daily, hotel owners, developers, architects, I would say more than 90% of our clients use our products when they build their homes. So anyone of you are thinking of renovating your home or thinking of planning or buying a new home, and if you want to do your home interiors, I think we'd be more than happy to assist you on that. These are a few of the product lines which are nowadays also used in office spaces, which is the drawer systems, sinks, sink faucet, matching sink faucets, appliances. Again, we are a full-fledged appliances company now, right from products, refrigerator to washing machines to dishwashers to coffee machine and small appliances as well. And many of these products goes to different kind of products, from service apartments to hotels to corporate office. Also, we'd like to take this opportunity to thank Ronak Bhai for giving us the opportunity to be part of the Marriott Executive Apartment, which was built 2 years back in Navi Mumbai. And Hafele is very proud to say that we have been part of the appliances which was supplied to the project. Restroom solutions, faucets, tabletops, shower solutions. And this is one of the product which, along with the mobile wall and the door hardware solution, which we are getting good traction when it comes to the corporate office spaces. Right now, we are also being part of BNY Mellon project, which was supposedly one of the largest pre-lease agreement project in India. We are supplying our stone surfaces to the project, and not only the same project, we are being part of many other projects, naming Wipro, and many other projects wherein we have supplied our stone surfaces, which can be used on flooring, which can be used on facade and your countertop, etc. So these are a few of the images. This is one of the image wherein we have done the entire facade of the project. These are the few references, and would like to, we're very eager to add many more names in this slide of ours. One important thing when it comes to giving you right solutions relating to your design, we have an in-house team who are well equipped technically to understand the need of a project and then suggesting a very right product to our clients. With this, thank you very much for patiently listening to my presentation. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gavli, for taking us through that glimpse of all the different variants and verticals within that single brand. Now, coming on to the next session of this particular evening. It is titled as Upcycling Workspaces, Tackling a Building's Midlife Crisis. Now, this is a topic that we had very recently added on to this particular panel and this edition, actually. And this is mainly because a lot of architects or even facility managers whom we've been speaking to came up and told me that rebuilding an existing space is much more difficult than actually building a new one. Retrofitting, refurbishing, upgrading in workspace is not an easy task at all, especially within the limits of what the structure in itself gives us. So we have here today some brilliant speakers who are going to shed light into how this process is coming about and how, with the constant technology changes, with the constant upgradation that is required, how corporates, offices, architects, designers, and project heads are tackling with these dynamic movements. To moderate this panel, I have with me Mr. Ashish Vaidya, who is the Associate Executive Director for Project Management Advisory at CBRE India. And joining him are speakers Ashish Goyal, who is the Director for India Procurement at Dassault Systems. With them is architect Ashwin Loikar, who is the Principal Architect at Loikar Design Associates, and also Kapil Sidani, who is the Creative Director at Transition Designs. We also have facility heads with them, who is Major Kiran Kudlinger, who is the site leader for commercial real estate and administration at Allstate. We also have Sahana Raghunath, who is the regional manager for global infrastructure at Infosys. And finally joining them is Vijay Varghese, who is the head for infrastructure planning and development at TCS, which is Tata Consultancy Services. With this, I would love to call on stage each of my speakers and the moderator to please come and share their thoughts and views with us about this topic, which is tackling a building's midlife crisis. You want a lapel mic or a hand mic or a lapel mic? Okay, fine. So I'm going to give this over to you, Ashish, to take it forward. That's okay.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Rashmi. Thank you, Indra. Thanks for giving me this opportunity, and it was good to know that the presentation done by Ram, it touched upon the very topic for which we are having here the discussion with the panelists who are here with me. Also, the earlier discussion actually concluded, or it was on the line of conclusion, wherein it did talk about tackling the building midlife crisis. So that's good start in terms of the context which I wanted to set has already been set, and it's for the interest of the audience that I won't have to develop on that much, and I will straight away get into a discussion. So first for you, Ashwini. So I have what I've done is for the interest of audience and time, and trying to make the discussion more focused. I put on, I know I have gone through the panelists and the experiences that we have here on the panel. I have drawn down the specific questions, but please be free to add on to whatever is been shared on the dais. So Ashwin, to start with, what are some of the environmental benefits, that we see from the upcycling materials that has been, spoken about nowadays, and that is something which is new, but is something which we feel is essential and one needs to take that route.
So the word upcycling itself talks of environmental benefits. I mean, it's in the word itself, where we reuse, reconstruct what has been cast away. And many times the things which are cast away, thrown away, go and find their places in landfills. And there's not much that you can really do with it, which was the case many years ago. Till the entire story or till the entire idea of upcycling came into being. So environmental benefits, as I said, it's pretty much in the name itself. You are not throwing things away, trying to reuse them in a good manner. So from the designer's perspective, it gives me a total different way of looking at design when we are upcycling. Okay, when it comes to upcycling, there are different words that come to my mind, which is restructuring, reworking, redesigning, adaptive reuse of a particular material or space as well. There are many, many facets to the word upcycling, especially in office spaces. We've done a lot of work in that. Luckily for us, we've done a lot of work wherein we have restructured old buildings, even changed the use, at the same time restructured offices, which were probably done 20, 25 years ago, and then restructured them, redesigned them to suit the modern requirements. So there is a huge benefit of upcycling if you look at it in its real sense of the word. But I think we still have a long time to reach there as far as upcycling in corporates is concerned or in office spaces is concerned.
Okay, and this brings me, Ashish, I would like to ask you that upcycling contributes reduction of waste. In that context, how do you think that it reduces the reduction in waste in context of the workplace renovation or creating a workplace? How does that would help?
So thanks, Ashish, for the question, and thanks ITP Media for inviting me here to share my thoughts. So I represent Dassault Systems. So in the last 4 years, we have been working on with some serious expansions, wherein until 5 years back, we were about 2,500 people in Pune across India, and we aim to reach 9,000 people by 2030. What this means also means expanding at a large space, at a large pace. And we are happy to say that India is the only country where Dassault Systems owns its offices as against other countries where they are lease spaces. Now, when it comes to own spaces, upcycling or recycling becomes a major factor because then the maintainability of the buildings, the systems plays a very important role. We during the pandemic, we did a full-time expansion. We bought a bare shell from Panchsheel and then we fitted it out to match the interiors. But the bigger challenge we had was also upcycling one of our buildings, wherein it was not adapted to the AV systems that we would need now. And that's where upcycling, as I said, to answer your question, right, whether it reduces waste, it definitely does because for us, there was a big challenge ahead in terms of how do we reuse that existing workspace to match the life of the building. The interiors were not capable, but the building life was definitely there. So we renovated that office space to meet the office interiors, which are in line with the other projects that we were doing. We revamped the entire audio visuals. We revamped the entire meeting room spaces to make it more collaborative, more relevant to the time. When it comes to waste, it definitely reduces waste because then we didn't have to look at moving out to a different space which is more new more relevant, but we could reuse our existing space and develop it more to suit the need.
Okay, so Kapil, as a designer, I would be very, curious to know how would you measure the impact of a upcycling for workspaces as a designer?
Okay. Measuring, I guess, right now it's majorly on the kind of experiments what, as an architect, if I'm doing a project, it's just an experiment about, retaining something, reusing something, but getting into the latest requirement. And I always talk about, we don't need to think of the latest requirement. World is changing. So we try to get the requirement which might come 5 years later as well. So it cannot happen that we keep on changing interiors every 5 years, or the workplace redefine it altogether. So according to my experience, like there are various experience, we have also done a few remodeling of the offices where technical things have been studied altogether, and its future life as against the investment of the company is been calculated. And we have defined the new upgrade or upscale will stay for say 5 years, 7 years. That's it. So yes, with that lifestyle or life cycle we talk about, we can definitely judge how much efficient and towards the nature we are. But still, it is not that clear in writing that this is much it happens to be. But one of the project I can share is I'm working with a client since I guess 12, 15 years. I have made the office, I've broken it. I made second office, I broke that and I made a third office. While because they didn't wanted to change the space due to their rentals and the location, but they wanted to keep the pace with the new requirements of the workplaces, pre-COVID, post-COVID as well, altogether. Uh, and we have utilized the existing materials. The second time we did, we gave a thought key, okay, if next we need to reuse this material because we have lot of wastage that time, what to be done. And third time we did, so it was really a good saving in terms of expenditure on the third time. But yes, we achieved a workplace which was required for a new generation. We talk about productivity of the people is also very important at the workplace, and retaining people as well altogether. So it worked very well.
So now that I get to understand that impact that you talked about, but Vijay, if you can share your thoughts in terms of how would one, there would be one would find it very difficult to balance the functionality and aesthetics, especially when you come and upcycle the things, because then it will have some constraints, some framework within which you will have to work with. So anything on that? How would one balance that?
First of all, good evening to all. I don't think it's very difficult to balance these 2, 3 parameters that you mentioned if you plan it right from the beginning. I will cite few examples from what we have done in TCS. So in one of the projects, we asked feedback from our employees, youngsters, about what kind of interiors would they like to have in one particular space. And they said, we want something crazy, which you're not seen anywhere else. So credit to the architect, they came up with a concept called the garage. And we actually went out to the market and got things from the automotive industry, discarded things, right from tires to the seats of a car, the full body of a car. And it turned out quite well, and most of the people liked it. So it's not difficult at all. And to go further, in one of the other projects, we had an international architect, and he was very keen to use teak wood for all doors and all furnish, all the floorings and everything. He wanted actual wood. And it was a difficult choice for us because it is expensive, and then it doesn't go with our philosophy. So what we did was we went to the market, went to the second-hand dealers. We got wood. We got our carpenters and got it redesigned and rebuilt to our requirement and used it. So I don't think it is very difficult if the idea is clear right in the beginning, and if it is a part of the design philosophy that we want to adopt.
Yeah, Major, now I'll come to you. So Major Kiran just wanted to know which will be the best way of sourcing the upcycle materials. You know.
For for upcycling, for sourcing material, I think the first and the foremost thing is we need to inspect our existing inventory, that is the space that we have. Fortunately for us, there are auditors available in the market who will come and who will do that work for us, telling us which all material is durable, which can provide us more durability. Is there any material that can be customized and created that? So that will, so what I'm trying to say is already there is a material available for upscaling that can be used. Secondly, there are online market tools like Free Cycle, Crystology, where you can go and look. If I have to give an example, Mr. Ram spoke about, he showed the Bajaj building. In Pune, the building started around maybe the IT, what I remember around 20, 25 years back. At that point of time in IT, there used to be a person called as a runner or DR for whom you were giving a Bajaj scooter. Today, in an innovative way, that Bajaj scooter can be put into pantry where the agents were coming, click the pictures and all. This is one of the example of using recyclable. Uh, you can collaborate with government and NGOs who have got a list of items that can be recycled and used. By doing that, they will also tell us in case if you can get some grants, that can be one of those things. You can look at salvage arts. You can speak to recyclable vendors. There is again a huge market for antique pieces. By visiting salvage yards and all, you can look at this material at a cheaper cost for that, for which you are not going and buying new products and all. Then you can also think about local artisans who do specialize in creating new out of the old. So maybe 5 or 6 of these examples can be used for sourcing your material, which will be like cost effective, which will have a, which will be durable, which will have got a longer span of life. You can look at those things.
Okay. So Sana, this is for you. Just wanted to know, I know talking about upcycling material. Can they be integrated, because sustainability, is the next is the buzzword. So can it be integrated?
Hi, Ashish. Thanks for the question. I look at upcycling as a great opportunity to basically relook at our entire buildings and at what stage or at what point the systems are. Of course, what is important is investing in, say, automation, or investing in tech which gives us predictive data so that we know how good or how efficient the systems are, or even the building itself is. Upcycling is a great opportunity to look at not just comparisons between equipments on one, but look at it holistically. For example, I mean, if we start from the facades and then move back in, the facades can be looked at introducing better glazing. Can we do some shading? I mean, can we look at buildings with which have less glare into the workplaces? Can we look at systems which allow us to reach or to align with the benchmarks that we have set for our buildings itself? So at Infosys, we look at buildings, or we look at retrofits as an opportunity, just very similar to making a green building, wherein the parameters are just slightly different. So yeah, we probably don't have much on orientation of the building, or we don't have much, we can't just move things around that way. But then there is a very good opportunity for a complete system overhaul if that's required, or to introduce flex design. We can look at equipments which which work in, with peak demand or with very less demand. We can look at workplaces. At a flow plate level, can we make them more efficient? And that there is a very good opportunity to look at that. We can make them more accessible now. We can make them more code friendly. There is a whole lot of opportunity. And I think looking at retrofits as just another greenfield project, but with just a different set of parameters or with just a different set of constraints is the way to go.
Okay, so Ashish, we talked about sustainability. So, Sana has been good in explaining, yes, it's very much there. And then Vijay also mentioned that with regards to aesthetics and functionality, it can be balanced. But in long term, does it carry any financial benefits? Do we really see, or is just a replacement, or to what it is in terms of the intent of upcycling?
Ashish, surely, see, frankly, no one in this room or no one would take any decision without having a financial benefit associated with it. That will be the first benchmark to study upon before making any a calculated decision. So definitely there are benefits of upcycling in terms of, see, one, when you're upcycling a workspace or a material or any product, you're in a way increasing the life of that material itself. Today, we are speaking about carpets which can be recycled after 15 years of life. The company takes it back. The entire agenda of promoting that is sustainability and bringing more life to the material itself, to the raw material itself. So, when to quote the same example, what I spoke earlier, when we upcycled our workspace to match it to the post-pandemic scenario, converting the office spaces more AV and more everything, we have kind of increased the life of the building by 10 years. So while on one hand, we are aware that the new workspaces or the new offices that we are doing would be more enticing for the employees, at the same time, we have not given up on the older workspaces. Upcycling them by use of the same material, using them in a more innovative way, renovating the entire floor and giving an entire life to the building increases its life by another 10 years. So even if, let's say, our plans doesn't materialize the way it has been, we still have the workspace which is well to do to the match the technology front, to match the employee expectations and keep them happy coming to office.
So Kapil, I remember we worked on a project, and there was a constraint wherein client wanted to reuse certain things which are already there. So in the same question, I would want to extend to you your thoughts on that. In terms of what was being done, and this was 15 years back, and now what you're doing on that in terms of long time impact or financial impact or financial benefits that can be extracted out of getting into the upcycling of materials.
Yes, so definitely there are financial benefits for sure. Rather than financial, I think company also thinks about, the sustainability part, that reusing something which has a life will be better where they are working something for the environment. Every company is talking about, our environment and CO2 levels and everything. So, and on the other hand, there are companies like service providers who are working hard in terms of creating a sustainable product which stays for a longer time. So there is a good fight where the culture of the office is changing every 5 years. Earlier, it used to be 10 years. Before that, it used to be 50 years. The person who started the job used to retire from the same table as well. So the lifespan of the office or the requirement, every day it is changing. So say consider 5 years now. Ahead, it will be more of 2 years. On the other hand, the product developers are working very hard so that their products are more sustainable for 15 years, for 20 years, and all that. So, this is the time where everyone, including architects, clients, everybody has to keep a close watch on the investment right now, what they are doing, what is the life, the data, which is very difficult. Like, I have faced many problem where client doesn't have a data of what they have altogether. So all this data, this product, its life and how that product has been developed. So that things, if it is there available, yes, financially it helps.
to the society also we are giving back, not using the new material, but reusing the well healthy material back again. So in all terms, I think that is more beneficial. But yes, like on the other hand, um, a small thing which we face is, oh, we need to do a little renovation. What will you charge? So the point is, designing a new office is very easy. Working on an existing office takes more man hours, which I think I strongly put that clients should understand that it takes a lot, and you should not negotiate with the doctors, the experts, where they're going to save your existing material and giving you a new office, a latest office again.
I would like to add on this. So typically, I'll talk about some data points that have been published by one of the IFMs. If I look at the American market, around 65-70% of buildings were built 2000 prior to 2000. Today, all of them are going upscale. The panelists before us gave a classic example of the age. If you look at the age, the rentals that it was commanding before upscale and after upscaling, it has gone up by 45%. By saying that for the tenants,
Major, if you can hold the mic.
okay, for the tenants, the rentals, again, the operational cost has gone up. But if I look at the benefits that it has got, it's amazing. Today, when agents are coming, I can brand that I am into a sustainable LEED platinum, whatever. It becomes easy for me to attract talent. My operational costs on HVC goes down from heating and all perspective. I can name so many examples that have come up in South Asian countries, including there are few in Pune also. For example, if I talk about Park Royal that was built on the Pickering Street in Singapore, no one thought about having gardens on the rooftop. If I talk about the campus that is built in Bangalore, which is of around 6 acres, they call it an completely decarbonized. They have got a small pond where employees can move in, entire green energy and all. So upskill brings a lot of benefit, including your brand value, attracting talent, reducing your operational cost. From builder perspective, I do understand for them to do the change, there is a lot of investment that happens. But right now with REIT coming in, they are looking for maybe rentals of around 80, 100 years. They have got that span, so they are willing to invest. It's a win-win situation for everyone. In places like Pune today, if you want a space in the heart of the city, CBD, or maybe around 10 kilometers, you don't have that space. So upskilling is the need. Someone, I think Beck spoke about that, having a distance of facade about 8 meters. They don't want a bigger space and all. So typically, whatever the infrastructure is available, I think by doing upscaling, we might be able to reduce a little bit of abuse unknowingly that we have done from sustainability front. I think upscaling is the thing that's going forward. It will happen. In India, it might take around more 10 years to start, but it's bound to happen.
So taking the cue from when you say abuse, Ashwin, is there any regulatory compliances for the businesses or challenges when you are using any upcycle material?
So when we talk of regulatory, there are two kind of things. One is statutory, wherein you're working with statutory bodies, and working with statutory bodies. When you, let's say, if you are looking at upcycling or adaptive reviews of a building, then there would be a lot of new things that we need to add on, which was discussed in the earlier panel as well, wherein inclusivity, accessibility, all these things are there. There were buildings, let's say some buildings which were made earlier on did not have the right infrastructure for a fire kind of a system. Those need to be adapted. So as if we look at the regulatory aspect of it, these are the things which need to be added on. I don't think other than things like the fire safety, etc., there are not much things that the authorities are putting onto the board where you need to work on those fronts. But architects are being getting more conscious while working on old structures and making them more adaptable to the requirements, to the environment as well. Whereas the example of Forbes, which was given with the earlier structure and the new structure with the fins coming in, definitely gave less load on the heating of the building, which was the case earlier. And there are so many other things which you can do. So probably I think the authorities need to have some more things onto the drawing board, or they need to have some more regulations which makes it mandatory to apply some things when you're using adaptive reuse of a building. Like we discussed the use of glass, and which is something that we have been fighting against, of the extensive use of glass in buildings, because not because of the look, aesthetic part is one thing, but it effectively, when you are looking at it from the use, from the tenant or the usability part of view, it adds to the cost of the air conditioning, doesn't make it very comfortable. So there are so many other things which could be added on when it comes to adaptive reuse of building. Or it it could be the same use, could be the same, wherein an office gets reused as an office, but there could be so many other mandatory things which could be added on, which are not there presently. This could be added on.
I just want to add one thing on the
please,
statutory
please.
thing. Very interesting point what you brought up. But when we do look at retrofits, and there are certain norms that the Pollution Control Board, for example, talks about. If there is any sort of a demolition waste that comes in, and what are you going to do about it? And as clients, when we get OCs, either from whether it is an environmental clearance or whether it is a PCB, a CTO or a CT, there are certain conditions that are very, very strict. And some of these are now pertaining to, the conditions are about how do we deal with construction waste? Are we reusing it? And how we are reusing it is a very important question. And there are now avenues to do it. Like if there is a building which you have decided to demolish, and then but you can definitely reuse the cement and the debris that comes out of it into paver blocks. It can be converted into anything else that can be reused back into the same area. Not exactly in the same building, but then definitely in the same area. And so these conditions are now extremely good. It kind of pushes clients and people to do it. And the onus is on us to actually do it and to design it in such a way that it can be possible.
So all boxes ticked as far as sustainability is concerned, functionality, aesthetics and all. I raised a query about statutory also, so that has also been answered. So major operational costs. You will have to take it. Please, please.
Cost actually, Ashish, I'm going to connect this question back to the sustainability point, which I didn't answer at that point. The point about retrofits is that, as I was telling you, if we relook at that building in terms of demand load, or what is it that we demand out of that building, and if we can reduce the demand, whether it is power, whether it is a cooling power, whether it is, decisions like, do we cool the air or do we cool the water, or do we reuse a certain space just for office, or do we reuse it for some other aspects? Reducing demand is always is probably very instrumental in making a building sustainable. Redefining the parameters that the building was built previously, like probably it was built for say 400 people, but then just to make a floor efficient, can we add few more people? But then what happens to the toilets? What happens to the power? What happens to services inside the building? If we can relook at that, it definitely adds on from client side to the operation cost. It will reduce it in the long term. And if we design it for resilience, like say a 20-year building is up for renovation, but then if we relook at it for accessibility, we relook at it for being that something that can work with different loads or demands, it can work for much longer time, maybe not 20, maybe it can extend its expiration date.
So another good reason to go for upcycling. So Vijay, any new trends, major trends emerging when it comes to upcycling? Because this is quite new, as new as that this discussion itself was introduced, first time, I suppose. So any emerging trends that you see, or that you can share on?
Yeah, so I think now, for example, wood, carpet, fabric, these have all become quite common. But what are the new trends that we are looking at as a corporate is we are widening our horizon and looking into the buildings itself, buildings and the infrastructure. So we are very keen to make use of the plastic waste which we are generating in our campus. So we are seriously looking at using it for building our bituminous roads. Now that is coming up in a big way. A lot of startups have into that area now. So we would like to convert our own plastic waste and use it for building our new infrastructure by engaging with the right agencies. Another thing is trying to use blocks also generated from plastic waste. So these are the two new things that we are want to explore in our big campuses that are coming up.
You asked me about cost. You asked me about cost. So maybe I was just thinking what to answer. Uh, uh, the moment he spoke about recycling, I like to add two words. Maybe by definition, upskilling is upskilling, quality better, durability better. In case of recyclable, both look similar, but recycle is again he given classic example of breaking the plastic and creating a pivot or pellets and all. So with upcycling, you are getting a better quality. Let me talk about, let me go on the energy front. If I start recycling the wires and all, the insulation that will be created would be of a better quality. That means the HVC loss or heat loss would be less. On energy, there might be a saving that might come because of upscaling. That's one thing. Secondly, when I look at the OPEX cost, it might be holistical. I'm not going to restrict it only from a facility perspective, but overall, typically, the cost is derived per employee, how much I'm spending. It might also include his recruitment cost and all. With upskilling, sustainability and all, there is a angle to it. I might not be able to exactly tell the amount, but I look in a longer run, it's more beneficial. That's one point I would like to make. Secondly, nowadays, entire Fortune 100 is talking about ESG. The moment I'm looking for upskilling, I'm trying to use a local artisan to come and design the spaces in with the help of my designers and all. So I am creating a kind of job opportunities that is ticking mark one more column of SG. My personal opinion is the moment you get into upscaling, you are ticking all the boxes. So definitely it's going to bring your OPEX cost down.
I suppose there is one more which I will put to Ashwin to you. You want to add something to it? Yeah. Life cycle of the buildings. Does it affect? Enhances, reduces, or we have a compromise?
No, definitely. See, when we look at upcycling or reuse of a building, we are stopping it from being brought down, and we are trying to extend its life. I'm myself living in my office is a old bungalow which we took over 12 years ago and redesigned it, and we are won many awards for it as well. And it's a very green environment in the actual word of the word green, because we're living in my office, it's a garden office. So there are so many examples of upcycling, etc. back home. Indian culture inherently doesn't need upcycling to be a topic which has been gotten from the West, such as sustainability, environment friendly, etc. We as a culture have lived these things inherently. Our cultures have been about it. Sustainability has been in our roots. Upcycling, environment friendly, green architecture, all these things that we got as a gift from the West, we were already there in our culture. It was an inherent part of our culture. Okay, we only, these names, why do we need green rating? Our buildings were always green till the time we started borrowing the Western glass boxes and started making those glass boxes over here. Our architecture was always green. We never imported Italian marble from, and the word Italian marble, we never got it from outside. We always sourced material from the next door, the quarry which was closest, and made buildings over there. Just use the same material. So all these terms have been, we have borrowed them from the West, they have gifted them to us, and it's fashionable to ape. We are all wearing suits instead of chudidar kurtas. So it's fashionable to ape the West and borrow from them and work according to their ideas. So see, we always have to look back and see where we have come from. I was trying to answer what you asked him about what's new in upcycling. You don't need to see what's new. You need to see what's old. My own office, we started our own office way back in 92 with hardly any money in our hands when we had just come in from Bombay to Pune and wanted to start our careers here. And we had started doing a few interior projects here and there. So I actually picked up the plywood which was there, it was going waste, tried it on my bike, got it home, sandwiched the plywood pieces between two 6 mm ply and made drawing boards out of it. The tables were the drawing board. That time we used to, there were no computers, we used to work on drawing boards. So there was nothing, the word upcycle wasn't there. You know, our earlier generations, there were stories of the clothes being handed over from the elder son to the younger son. Books, we have used books which were handed over by our seniors. There was no word to it or sustainable, green, etc., but that has been our culture. So that's what I'm saying. So we don't have to look into the future. We have to look back.
So with
and
this, so with Ashwin, this brings me to, and this is for all, anyone can jump in and respond to it. The user, right? So how much of engagement or involvement of the user, which might be employee or, because as a designer or as a creator of workspace, I can understand, the intent is good, sustainable, functional, aesthetic, everything there. But as a user, how much of his involvement or
No,
engagement in this?
I think the onus is on to us to educate the people to reuse. And because see, let's say, for example, an industrialist, he would not know the pros and cons of reuse. It is our job as designers to educate and to bring in the social fabric or the social conscience of doing something which is going to impact, and effectively it's going to help the client himself. So I think if the client is ignorant if they are probably good at something else, it's our responsibility totally to educate. And that's the only thing you can bring about the change.
Shall I?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll add another perspective to it. When you say user, I would also bring in the ultimate employee who works for corporates. And uh, sorry to go back to the same example, but in the last 5 years, I have had 3 projects, out of which one is a brownfield project, one is a greenfield project, and one is like this renovation kind of stuff. Basically, that's what I'm saying. And I'm happy to say that the employees which are sitting in still the office which was built in 2002, they love to be there more because they associate it with themselves. They're not associating themselves with the glass boxes, as you say, primarily, because they all look the same. But the older offices, and hence, I would say the user perspective becomes very important. And most organizations, and at least we definitely do what we do today, is we go back to the employees and asking them, how would they like to contribute in it? If we are doing a certain part. Unfortunately, when we did this, it was during the pandemic time frame, and we didn't have that opportunity. But today we seek employee feedback, the user feedback on multiple aspects like nursery, going green, planting new plants, saving trees, and so on. So definitely the user feedback is important, I would say.
Last but not the least, Vijay, your thoughts, or if you can share with us, is government doing anything which would encourage, everyone towards this particular direction of upscaling? Anything that you can share or shed any light on?
I think they can do a lot more. For example, incentivize use of these products in terms of tax breaks or something like that, because that will encourage more and more people to adopt such products. Secondly, if there can be, I think Architect Ashwin mentioned, if there can be a regulatory framework, and if it becomes a part of the building code for future development, a lot more people will adopt it. So, for example, what I mentioned earlier about these kind of roads that we construct from plastic waste, or blocks that can be used from the plastic waste, or your tire crumbs are being used for road construction these days. If these become like a building norm as a part of the document itself, then I think it will get more and more used and it will be more relevant for us.
True, true. Yeah.
See, in fact, yeah. In fact, the government is working on the contrary. That's what I would say. It's not helping in any way. I'm a bit cynical about some things, but I think somebody has to spell it out. We see the massive reconstruction that is happening in Pune with the new rules, the new FSI. So much of redevelopment is happening everywhere, where the infrastructure is the same. Buildings which are 10, 15 years old are being pulled down, and new buildings are coming up with better amenities per se, and so many other things which are added on for the sale, as was said so openly. Now, has anybody given a thought whether the same building could be upcycled and something else could be built on top? You have new FSI, additional FSI, whether it could be reconstructed in a way where the core building stays as it is. And let's say you want to build 3 more floors, you add 3 floors and you work around it to create a cage around it, build it, rebuild on it. Nobody gives a thought to that. The building, the corporation, the authorities are in fact encouraging building down a building, bringing down a building and reconstructing new ones. But it's going totally contrary to that. There are no scruples about bringing down a 15-year-old building just because it has potential to build more. Whereas the basics life of a RCC structure is said to be at least 50 years with the bad quality of construction. So we are
I think
not
Ashwin,
helping
in
in
the
any way.
interest of time, good thought, and it's something to ponder on subsequently. Quick questions, 1 or 2, if you have for the panel here. Anybody can raise a hand, please. I think yes. So thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ashish, and thank you each of my speakers. A huge round of applause to all of you guys. I'm going to quickly call on stage Captain Kedar Paranchpar, who is the ex-senior vice president at Persistent Systems, and he was also the founder for CRISP and co-founder for the body CRISP. And I would also love to invite Mr. Venkat K, who is the national manager for projects at Hasley, to please present from our end a small token of appreciation to each of you. Captain? Firstly, to our moderator, Mr. Ashish Vaidya, who so well put across points from sustainability to the lifespan of the buildings and is it more viable? All of these points he tackled. The next is Mr. Ashish Goyal. He is one of the procurement heads who represented us in this panel. We don't get to see procurement heads in these platforms, but it was so nice of him to join us. Thank you so much, Ashish. We next have architect Ashwin Lovikar, who is the principal architect at Lovikar Design Associates. Thank you so much, Ashwin, for joining us here and sharing your thoughts with us. Second, we have Kapil Sidani. Thank you so much, Kapil, the other architect on this team, on this panel, who helped us with his thoughts and his insights on this topic. We also have the facility head here, Major Kudlinkar from Allstate. Thank you so much, Major. He took up some really thoughtful questions, and thank you so much for sharing your views. And we next have Sahana Raghunath, who actually joined us all. She poor thing flew in today and joined us today evening. Thank you so much, Sahana, for coming in all the way to Pune and joining us here today. And we finally have Mr. Vijay Varghese, who is the head for infrastructure planning and development at Tata Consulting Services, TCS. And thank you so much, each of you, each of these panel speakers, requesting you all to please come forward for a quick group pic. Just so please stay. Thank Thank you so much. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for the closing panel of the day. With this, we come to the end of this evening and this session. The speakers are going to be around. I know a lot of networking and talking happens even post of these sessions. I'm going to once again thank each of my speakers of panel 1 and panel 2 to join us here. I hope you all got a lot of takeaways here. I've been just building points after points in my mind, and it's really nice to see when the community, the industry comes together from different verticals on such single platforms. And I hope you all have a good weekend ahead. And thank you once again. Please join us for dinner and drinks. Thank you. Thank you, Ashish. It is really nice. Thank you.